See Big B over there lounging, man.
My goodbye.
Laid back.
Shalom.
Well, how about shows like a thumb? Don't phrase it.
Ever some shit like a thug.
Hear from y'all. Don't phrase it.
God, what's happening, King?
Just maintaining, trying to stay in tune with y'all and the word as much as possible. But you know, in this area of Florida, there's no consciousness or no.
Okay, the stream is up. I'm gonna just go ahead and start the recording as well. Oh man. Yeah. HOI's people coming into the class is lacking. They are. This is like, you would think you don't need a reminder, but just based on how marketing works, you need a reminder, right?
You said pertaining to marketing?
I said just based on how marketing works, it means you always need a reminder. You always got to advertise whatever you're putting out. This is why McDonald's and Pepsi and Coca-Cola would always keep advertising, and their advertising budget doesn't go down. It actually increases. You know, everybody know who Coca-Cola is, who Pepsi is, who McDonald's, all of these brands. You know, for the most part, a lot of times they're advertising to the next generation. Right? They got to try to hook you young. Right? That's how McDonald's work. They grab McDonald's clients, these kids from a young age. They babies and they know McDonald's. They know that gold arch. Right? The gift destroyed the heart. McDonald's give you a Happy Meal with a toy. So the nostalgia of you remembering getting McDonald's and how it made you feel and the toy, it's like, man, they got you hooked forever.
The advertisement, it taps into the subconscious.
Sean, when you think back, you only remember good feelings at McDonald's. You remember going into that bag. It's like Christmas for you. Every time you open, you don't know which toy you're gonna get. You're excited. So that's how they get you, man.
Oh yeah, what was it? Toys R Us?
Toys R Us.
And they had a mascot, Jeffrey.
Yeah, man. These places, they know how to grab you. I mean, the McDonald's literally, there's several ways they grab you. So, you know, for kids, they grab the kids, you know, based on the sugar and the stuff that's in the food, right? You know, the sugar, the salt, the fat, all of those things. At one point, McDonald's was even frying its fries in beef fat to make it even more fattening. Right? You know, they got sued and all of that stuff, but yeah, they contributed to a lot of sick
and obese
and obesity.
That's true.
So that's one way they get you, and then of course for the kids, it's like a special meal for the kids, and they call it the Happy Meal.
Yeah, right? Just for them.
So it's already telling you you're happy to get this. Tell your kids, you want a Happy Meal? Happy? Yeah, sure. It's gonna make me happy.
Yeah,
so
make
they
you
psychologically grab you based on the choice of words they use based on this meal. Daddy, I want a Happy Meal.
Hmm. It's
right?
gonna
And
make
then
me happy.
it's gonna make me happy because that's what it says. It's a happy meal. And every time I get the McDonald's, it's true. I'm always happy.
Mm.
So they grab you there, and then they grab you the next way with the toy. It's
Oh,
like you
forget it.
get a gift every time you get a meal, so it makes you
Oh,
extra happy.
God.
So when it comes to advertising, I would say McDonald's is one of the top ones, man.
Mm.
It, they come at you with different angles. Pretty much all of them come at you with the unhealthy meal, but McDonald's come at you in so many other ways. Burger King, they just tell you have it your way, which is another thing. It's another way they grab it. What, I can have it my way, and it's not even that you have it your way. All the burgers are the same.
Right.
But psychologically, you're
Marketing.
thinking you're having it your way. Yeah, because
Oh,
I like it with the onions, and I could say no onions. So I'm
Right.
I'm really, shaping it and customizing it to my liking. But no, it's just the way they market it. You're thinking you're having it your way,
mm.
but you're really having it their way.
Mhm.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah,
Right?
man.
Uh,
Advertising, man.
man, one of the top advertising marketing campaign ever is still the heaviest thing today, which is breakfast,
Mm.
right? Breakfast was a marketing campaign to convince people that they needed to eat a certain type of food in the morning. Before there was no breakfast. People just ate, whatever leftover stuff they had until that marketing campaign came in and convinced people that a healthy breakfast is orange juice, milk, bacon, eggs, sausages, hash browns, those different things. They had doctors coming in talking about these are the things you need to have and start your day in the morning and stuff like that. Before, no, there was no breakfast. But even now today, if you ask people what is a healthy breakfast, they're going to rattle out, at least a couple of things based on that campaign.
Right.
And it's still going strong today.
Con. Con. Healthy breakfast.
A healthy breakfast.
I don't even eat. I don't even usually eat until around noon.
Con,
And yeah, like breakfast, like we made that like a must, a need. You know what I'm saying? A must-have meal. Who did
it's
that?
so it's so psychological that people would be like, I don't know, man. I gotta have my coffee. Coffee is one of the things, right? Right? Oh man, if I don't have my
Oh,
coffee, but coffee is an addictive thing, right? So people kind of lose their mind if they don't have coffee in the morning. Some people lose their mind if they don't have that breakfast in the morning. Man, I ain't got no energy, man. I ain't got this, and they just kind of want to tap out because they didn't get that breakfast in the morning. You
I
know,
think there's people that's OCD.
yeah,
Cause sometimes like people that's OCD, if they don't brush their teeth a certain way, they just be crazy all day. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't
mhm.
understand it, but yeah, there's people out there like that.
yeah. I mean, go stand around a McDonald's in the morning. You'll see the cars are down the block because people trying to get that breakfast.
Oh,
Starbucks be packed.
Oh, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, man, these places literally make billions of dollars because of a marketing campaign. Hey, anyway, King, you got the floor, brother.
Con. Well, shalom, family. We here for another Thursday night lesson. Yabashima Shabakata. Yabashima Shashamartha. And tonight's lesson is going to be Problem Solving 101. I know the title said Problem Solver, but this is just so that you too can be able to use problem solving techniques on a high level and correlate them and coincide them with, of course, with the usage of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible, right? But more so, it's to give our people more tools to be able to figure out your issues, right? Find out what the root cause of your real problems are in life and eliminate the root causes of your real problems in life. This is what this is about, right? And of course, we have to go back to the Bible to find out what is our real what are our real problems? Like, where do our problems really come from? Right? Most of us, all of our problems as Israelites come from the same root, right? It comes from us not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. We're gonna get into that, but it's like if you know that you all have a common root cause that causes most of your problems. Now, what is your specific issue that you're dealing with? Is it problems at work? Is it problems with family at the house? Is it problems with brothers and sisters? Is it problems with a sister having problems with another sister? Is it problems with elders? Is it problems with money? Like what? Like, think about, what are your problems? Is it are you finding yourself in situations because of your own transgressions? Right? That's what becoming a problem solver is about. It's about not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? It's about not being insane. So being a problem solver is being a person that recognizes what the issue is, thinks about how it happened, and really drills down to what the root cause of their problem is. That's what a lot of people don't know how to do, is actually drill down and figure out, damn, how can I keep this from happening again? A lot of people cannot do that. Like, they try, but they don't know. It's like it's like people don't really know what caused their problem. They just know the result. They just know the band-aid that they have to put on once they get a cut. They don't really realize how they got their cut and how do they keep themselves from not being cut again, right? So that's what tonight's class is gonna be about. Like, trying to be proactive instead of reactive all the time. Like who wants to always go through life and you have to react to problems that happen that Satan throws at you, right? And you gotta react and figure it out on the fly. Like, we gotta do that because that's what the Lord is gonna do. But how do you make those trials and tribulations a little bit easier, right? How do you use the tools that you have to solve problems and have Satan trying to figure out another way, a whole different angle, wherever your weakness is, to try to get to you? Because you definitely need all the tools that you could possibly have to fight Satan in this wicked world. As everything turns up day by day, everything, the temptation and all of the different ways that problems can happen will arise, right? So that's what this is about. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahshayah, and double honors to the elders of HOI, right? Because what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go into like almost like a PowerPoint kind of lesson. I got some stuff I want to pull up, and I want everybody to be interactive. This is gonna be very interactive because it's gonna get to the point where sometimes I start going through some deep information, and I'm gonna ask a question or two. I'm not gonna overwhelm you guys with questions, but I'm gonna ask a question or two just to make sure you were paying attention, right? And then you could even ask me a question or two. So I wanted to be interactive more so than just me giving you this information. Because once I give you information, then I'm gonna give you an example of how somebody in the Bible could have used these problem solving skills, right? But they didn't. And therefore they transgressed. And therefore they got judged because of it, right? So we're gonna go through that, and then we're gonna go through what real conflict resolution is. Because one of the main problems that I'm seeing in Israel is that when we have issues with each other, even when we try to do the Matthew 18, a lot of times it doesn't work the right way for us because we don't, not only do we not always do it in sincerity, and when I say we, I'm not talking about me, I'm just talking about Israel in general. Israel be wicked as hell. They just do it just to do it. Just do the Matthew 18. All right, whatever, get it over with. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna give you some corporate level conflict resolution techniques that every company uses, and it works, and that you can use in your regular life. You know what I mean? I always try to talk about this, but tonight, I'm gonna demonstrate it, and you're gonna see on this PowerPoint of about 1,000 slides that I have. And I'm not gonna go through 1,000 slides. I'm picking and choosing which ones I'm gonna go through. But what you're actually gonna be learning tonight is principles of Lean Six Sigma. You're gonna be learning Lean Six Sigma principles, which is one of the highest rated ways to solve problems using Lean Six Sigma. Right? I'm a certified green belt and black belt in Lean Six Sigma, so I'm certified to teach this. And you won't know everything about Lean Six Sigma after tonight, but you will know enough to be able to think about what your problems are that you're having with your children, your problem that you're having with your husband, your wife, your brother, your camp. You'll have some a very deep and constructive way to handle things that works. And you'll be able to tweak it how you want to. You don't have to follow it verbatim the way I do it, or the way that it's done or demonstrated here, but let's just get into it and just show you something that will help you in the future. All right. Hold on. So I got to share my screen. All right. Y'all let me know if y'all can see my screen. Y'all hear me?
Don, I can see it. Lean Six Sigma. Green belt.
Okay. One sec.
Hey, sorry about the echo.
So you're looking at my screen, not me, right? You don't see me, you just see my screen.
Shalaki King, can you hear me?
Yeah, Khan.
How many belts do they have?
Black belt is the highest level. I got like 5 certifications. I'm Lean Six Sigma, white belt, yellow belt, white belt, yellow belt, white belt, yellow belt, green belt, and then black belt.
God.
So actually, I got 4 certifications in that. I'm certified, and these are corporate level quality assurance certifications that are worldwide. I can use these anywhere. ASQ, American Society of Quality. I am a ASQ certified QA auditor. So that means I'm an ASQ CQA. That particular certification took me a year to get. That was like taking the bar exam, the ASQ, CQA. That's something different from this. And I'm computer systems validation certified as well. So I, validate new computer systems that a company is trying to use, make sure it's up to par for whatever they're trying to use it for. Yeah. So, but right now, we're just discussing this Lean Six Sigma and certain techniques, problem solving techniques that I have found out that you could use these techniques in your personal life, right? You can use these techniques in your personal life. And so what I want you to remember as I go through these slides, certain slides, a lot of slides will say, when it says the word process, I want you to think of that as a person, not a process. Because in this is describing how you solve a problem in a process. But what I want you guys to envision is, how do you solve a problem of a person, right? So whenever you see the word process, automatically think person, because they're gonna use that word a lot throughout this, because a process is usually what you want to change in order to solve a problem. So that's one of the main reasons why they use the word process so much, and that's why they're talking about learning a process, and that's how you have to figure out where the process went wrong. That's how you find out how to solve problems on a high level. You have to get to the root cause and find out what happened within a certain process and what allowed it to happen, and what can you do next time to not, to eliminate that root cause and to keep that thing from happening again. Right? Now, even though I went into the ebook, I'm not sure if I really needed to go into the ebook just yet. But let me just go ahead and get some reading in here so you can understand what I'm about to go to. Upon completion of this course, students will be able to apply Lean Six Sigma to the DMAIC methodology, apply skills in project management, process management, lean change management, and statistical analysis. Define their role in a successful Lean Six Sigma deployment. Recognize how to scope, define, and lead Lean Six Sigma projects. Recognize how to transition projects from phase to phase. Complete projects. So look at every time that you have a problem that you're trying to solve, look at that as a project, right? So when it says process, when we're gonna get to reading, and it's gonna always say process this, process that. Think of that as you, right? And think of fixing your process as a project, right? So when you have a problem that you want to solve, look at that as a project. Presents projects to peers, managers, and senior leadership. Applies methods learned in the DMAIC process. We're going to use this DMAIC process. You're going to remember that acronym. DMAIC stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So, you're going to see many slides that actually have that written out. So we're going to get to that. Apply methods learned in the DMAIC process to business issues, right? Apply statistical analysis to determine the relationship between key inputs and process outputs. Characterize. Now, we're not going to do all of that. We're not going to go into the mathematical thing, because I know some of y'all are smart. We're not going to go into a math lesson. I don't want to confuse people, but you will see how this is a mathematical process, and how if you learn how to do it, you're actually doing mathematics, you know what I'm saying, even without doing the mathematics. And I'll explain that later. Apply statistical analysis to determine the relationship between key inputs and process outputs. Characterize the equation y equals f times x. I know some people say, man, I was bad at algebra. I don't know what that is. but we'll explain. Implement controls to sustain gains. Effectively manage team dynamics. So we have teams here. We have camps, right? So you brothers and sisters who are running rooms and things of that nature, you need to be able to effectively manage the dynamics of your teams, right? Different people have different skills and talents. So you have to be able to manage that properly. Navigate statistical analysis software. And yeah, we're not doing that. But let me just move on to some preliminary stuff, right? So if you look at all this, this is a lot of stuff. This is about 1,000 pages in this ebook right here, right? So I'm really giving you some. This costs a lot of money to learn. I'm really giving y'all some free, basically free knowledge. As you can see, there's a lot of different steps you got to go through in the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control phase. We're not gonna go through each one in depth as far as one through 7 on define and 8 through 12. We're not going through each one like that, but we're gonna go through enough for you to be able to understand how to define, measure, analyze your problem, improve your problem, and then control your problem. Right? Because that's what you want to be able to do. When you define your problem, you're really trying to figure out and pinpoint what type of problem is it, right? What type of problem am I having? And you want to just give it a title. And then to measure your problem, you won't really need this tool very much, but I'm going to explain some things about measuring, analyzing, right? You know, a lot of you are very analytical. When you read the Bible, you have to be very analytical. And so the same thing when you apply some of these techniques. But you always want to make sure you're applying all of these 613 laws, statutes, and commandments, that you're keeping those guidelines, and you're making sure that you're analyzing and measuring things accordingly, right? And when you come up with your improvement on how you're going to improve and change your issue or eliminate the problem, yes, of course, you're going to be using scriptures like, whatever your issue is, like thou shalt not, covet, or thou shalt not, whatever your issue, whatever the problem is, even if your kids are doing something, you'll be able to figure it out. But let me get into it so I could explain more instead of beating around the bush. And but first, I want you to understand, like, how important that Lean Six Sigma tools are and how many people use it, and how you wouldn't even be able to function in everyday life if people didn't have a high level of understanding on how to use these tools. All right. So let's see. It's kind of impromptu. QA initiatives. All right. I don't need all that. Let's just go to Lean Six Sigma definition. Lean Six Sigma was developed out of necessity as a very rigorous, disciplined approach for companies to improve products and services based on their customers' expectations and requirements. So when you see the word customers, think about Yashayah, because this is really what we're gonna be talking about is not some customers' requirements. Everything we're doing, we have to stick to Yashayah's expectations and requirements, right? An outside looking in approach, Lean Six Sigma has many facets, right? So customer focus is basically Yashayah focus, right? Focus on pleasing the Lord. That's what we're doing. Business focus. Basically, we're focused on keeping the law, our Father's business, right? So with Yashayah focus, we focused on keeping His business, and process focus means that we're focused on the person, right? The person who is the problem, or the problem that you're actually having. right? Because it might not be a person. It could be money issues. Maybe you need more money. You don't have a job. You're not being able to pay your bills properly. How do you solve that problem, right? And I'm gonna allow people to have questions at the end and present different problems, and we're gonna see how we could fit them into the design. I mean, to the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, and see how we can fix those problems, right? Goal, vision, philosophy, benchmark, methodology, symbol, metric, tool. These are all things that we use in a corporate platform on a corporate level, but we may not need to use all these things. But you definitely want to have a goal for your when you have a problem. You want to have a goal, to where you want to be. Like, you don't want to have that problem again, right? You want to have a goal and a vision. And what's our philosophy? That's keeping these laws, statutes, commandments, right? That's our doctrine. When you benchmarking is taking what somebody else has done and you putting your spin on it. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. If you see somebody else that had the same problem you had, a lot of times you can take some of the things that they did and apply it to your problem. That's what these companies do. When they benchmark, they take something that another company is doing and they just recreate it. They really just steal it. But basically, they rewrite it and recreate it in their own way, so the company can't say that they stole it. Our methodology, again, is our philosophy. Symbols, when you're using really that, metrics and tools. All right, let me go through this. All right, so Lean Six Sigma definition. Lean Six Sigma uses a variety of tools and techniques to achieve superior process performance. So to achieve superior person performance, this is what you need, right? You need these tools. And we're not really going to go through all of these tools, but what we'll be using is basically how to implement it, how to implement the planning. Let's see. We'll be using the process flow and database decision making. We won't really be using metric identification and a lot of numbers in what we're doing in this truth and for the Lord. You won't really be needing that for this particular lesson. All right. Let me go to I'm gonna go to the particular slides that I have to teach for this lesson. I think this is one. This is one of them. Though. The focus of Lean Six Sigma for every person, there's a dependent variable called Y that we are attempting to influence. The independent variables which determine what happens to our Y are called the process X's. Thus, we can boil down every process into a simple formula, right? So if you just think lean is just something that, if you think that this is just something simple and, these corporate people don't know what the hell they doing. They just got making all this money because they lucky, and people really study this stuff to make the kind of bread that they make. They should study the Bible more than this stuff, but if you look at it, it gets deep, right? Y equals F times X to the first power, X to the second power, X to the third power, X to N. Now, if you put numbers there, a lot of people's eyes might get crossed trying to figure that out. So we're not going to even do that. We're not going to go through, that's why I'm not going to go through the mathematical part of it, but I want you to understand that when you are solving problems, you're taking your Y and you're really kind of measuring it against your X, right? The goal of Lean Six Sigma is to understand the relationship between our various X's and our Y's. Our problems, understand the relationship between problem and root cause. So we can manipulate the X's to modify Y as desired, right? So you can manipulate your problems, fix them, so that you can get the desired outcome at the highest level. Your your line here could go all the way to the top and not be a dot somewhere in the bottom of the middle where you're not really performing at a high level. And that's just talking about performing in life. You know what I mean? Like doing the things you need to do in life. That's what that's talking about. Let's see. I'm not gonna bore y'all with the math, but what I want y'all to show y'all is how even airline, like how if you don't use these tools and techniques properly, like airlines and different companies use them, you will not be safe in the world. Your whole life will be unsafe. Right? So let's read this. Sigma scale. With performance at 2 sigma, only 69.146% of products and or services meet customer requirements with 308,538 defects per million opportunities. So if a company made mistakes at a 69 percentage rate, man, they will have over 300,000 defects that will be going out to the people. So a company operating at a 69% Sigma rate is not doing very well, right? This says most companies' processes perform at this level or below prior to improvement. And these are the companies that make stuff like, your cups, spoons, product, furniture. You know, they operate at basically like a 69% Sigma level. They don't have to be perfect, but when you get more into the things that people really need and use on a daily basis, they have to be better, right? With performance at 4 sigma, 99.379% of products and or services meet customer requirements with 6,210 defects per million opportunities. So even companies that operate at a 4 sigma, which is not 6 sigma, that's not even the highest level you can get, they're still gonna have a bunch of defects that they put out when they create products. So how does this relate to you? If you operating at 2 sigma or 4 sigma, a lot of times you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. You're still gonna make over 6,000 mistakes a day. Damn, I mean not a day, but you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, right? Let's not apply these numbers to actually our life, but you still have a lot of room for error even at 99%, right? With performance at 6 sigma, 99.999666%, as close to flaw-free as a business can get with just 3.4 defects per million opportunities. Now, companies, this says that superior businesses perform target common performance target common goal in manufacturing environments. So in environments where they're making things like drugs, like I work in pharmaceuticals. This is why I had to learn this. Because when you're making drugs and you're distributing drugs to people, which I don't make drugs, I work in quality assurance. I don't touch nothing. But when you're doing this, you have to operate, and I'm the person that have to make sure that they stay at a high rate. They have to perform at a high rate. That's my job, to make sure that people remember the problems that they had and don't do the same thing again. So this is why when we're in the truth, this is why I'm always the person that when we're in councils, I'm always the person that's doing what? Trying to figure out what the problem is. This is why I listen for a long time. Try to figure out what the problem actually is that people have with each other and how do we keep it from happening again. And I'm using mathematics without using mathematics, if you know what I mean. This is why a lot of times when I give my opinions on stuff, sometimes it'll come from an angle that you might not see or be thinking about, because I'm using a lot of different variables. There it is. I'm using a lot of different variables to come up with what I'm thinking about. And you can do this too. All right. this is what happens. Even if your goal is 99.0% quality, your results would be 2 unsafe plane landings per day at most major airports. Can you imagine that? 2 planes damn near basically crashing or the wheels falling off of some a day at most major airports. If that happened every day, you know what type of news reports we'll be seeing? If airlines operated at a 99% rate. So even in this truth, we can't operate at 99%. We got to operate as close to 100% as we can. Because think about it. Even if you're at 99%, these are still the type of mistakes you can make. So that's why being lazy and being a person that says that I don't have to keep that law, or I don't, we don't have to do that. Like being lazy and trying to get around keeping the law is gonna make you have a lot of boo-boos. Let's be honest. It's gonna make you have you're gonna make a lot of mistakes in life, and you're gonna sit there and wonder why. And that's what's wrong with our Christian brothers and sisters. They sit there wondering why they're going through this, but they don't realize like that that's because they just not doing what God said do. All right, 500 incorrect surgical operations per week. Imagine that if you cut on the news and they said, "Oh, 100 people died because at this one hospital they was operating at 99% Six Sigma." You'll be like, "Hold up, I thought 99% was good," but over 500 people will have incorrect surgical operations per week, not per year, per week. 1 hour unsafe drinking water per month. Imagine that where the government said y'all can't drink water on Friday at 5 p.m. because the water gonna be unsafe. Imagine if we lived in a world or a country that did that. That's because they not operating at a high sigma level, right? 16,000 pieces of mail will be lost every day. Imagine that. So you order something from Amazon and 16,000 pieces done got lost. Your mail was one of the pieces that got lost. Every time you order from Amazon, you just happen to be one of them 16,000. So this is why this lesson on becoming a problem solver is important, because when you know Lean Six Sigma tools, you don't make the same mistake over and over again. You don't. But when you know Lean Six Sigma tools and you know the Bible, you really have a better chance of keeping yourself from making the same mistakes over and over again, right? Imagine having no electricity for 7 hours per month. That's what you would be. That's what you would be if you was a Christian and you was just shortcutting the law. You ain't keeping the law. All you do, you're an Israelite, all you do is go to feast days. You you don't keep the Day of Atonement. You don't do certain things. You don't keep the dietary law. Well, you're not operating at a high sigma level for the Most High. You're operating at a low level. And the difference here is the Most High is going to judge you, and you don't necessarily know what that judgment is going to be. You know what can happen if you don't got no electricity for 7 hours. You're like, okay, you might figure out something else to do, but you can't play with the laws of God like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to be operating at a high sigma level. All right. Let me go to something else real quick, because there was some specific things that I wanted you guys to see, and not everything, right? So we haven't got to that yet, to the defined phase. See. All right. So real quick, any questions so far? Any scriptures that come to mind that any brothers and sisters want to bring out before we go to the before we get into the meat Can y'all hear me?
Shalom, Mark.
Take that as a note. Shalom, Mark.
Shalom. Yeah, I got a preset, Mark, but bring it out. Bring it out. Bring it out. I'm taking notes on this.
Hold on one sec. I just had something that I was gonna drop. I didn't want everybody to see that though. Me having my screen share. Hold on. Let me 1 second. All right, hold on, y'all. So you could bring out two.
What you said, King?
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to my notes. If you could bring out 2 Corinthians 13, verse 5.
Okay, Con. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. When everyone have it, say Con. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. It says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves? How that Yahweh HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates.
Right. So when you have say for instance a gripe or a grievance with another brother or sister, examine yourself first. You're not the problem, right? And you got to be honest with yourself. Just make sure that it's hard for a lot of people to do. They only see what the other person did. It's like they can't see what they've done. But if you really want to solve a problem that you haven't, you first need to examine yourself, right? And then examine the matter at hand, right? So give me Ecclesiasticus, Book of Sirach, chapter 11, verse 7.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11, and verse number 7. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, and then rebuke.
Right. So understand what your gripe is. Don't blame somebody else before you really know of why whatever the issue is happening. Right. Understand first, examine ourselves, and then rebuke. Right. Blame not. Give me jump to chapter 18, same book, verse 20.
Okay. This is Sirach, chapter 18, and verse 20. Before judgment, examine thyself, and in the day of visitation, thou shalt find mercy.
Right. So when having an issue, before making that judgment, examine yourself first. Right. Make sure that you're not the root cause, or you're not a contributing cause to why the problem keeps happening. And if you are, work on yourself with these tools and techniques we about to go through. Right. Make sure you're examining yourself right here before this process, because we about to get I don't know how to start again, over and over again. And why? Because you're really not even examining it, what the problem is. You just blaming somebody. You just feel like it's not you. So you just blaming somebody, right? We gotta do better, we gotta be better. Hold on one second. Let me go back to the presentation. All right. All right. So right here, we have the whole process. Define, measure, analyze, right? Measure says measure current performance. Analyze says identify root cause for performance shortfalls. Improve, identify, and implement solutions. Go ahead, Op.
Yeah, we don't see the screen.
You don't see it? Okay,
No.
hold on. Salakia. Yeah, I gotta share it again. One second. Oh, shit. All right. Got to share the screen. Y'all see the screen?
Con.
Okay, and Salaki, everybody, for me, being a little slow navigating through these things because I'm using my phone. I'm used to using the laptop for these presentations, but we got it. I got it. All right. So do y'all see these bubbles? Define, measure, analyze. All right. So define, identify. Remember I
Hey,
said when you see
Shalaki,
that word, what up, Art?
you're sharing the wrong information. We just see Lean Six Sigma training. I don't see the bubbles you're referring to.
Okay, so it's only showing the ebook that I pulled up. It's still on the ebook, right? Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, let me go back into the ebook. I was trying to show some screenshots that I got. Let's see. So we back in the ebook. What do y'all see? Lean Six Sigma Green Belt course
No,
ebook.
it says Lean. The three options on the screen. The top header says Lean
Oh,
Six
I see
Sigma
it.
training. Yeah.
I see it. All right. So we go to what I'm trying to go to. All right. All right. Page 30 of 1,073. You see that? All right. So y'all see process management and just do it? Okay. It's not going through all my screens. It only wants to show 33 pages. Oh, here we go. All right. 35. So where was I? It's moving slow. So when it says apps, right? How do I share if I want to go into an app? Just go to apps.
Yeah, it can. The best thing to do is open it. So you have it open, and when we go, you could see the app that you're trying to share.
Hold on. So I'm just going to my photos because I took some specific screenshots of what I'm trying to go to right now. So how do I open my photos photo app? Because I'm in there right now, but I don't see it in here. All I see here is the lean book. And when I get to, okay, here we go. This is actually what I was about to teach. I got lucky. So this define, measure. You see the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control?
On.
All right. So this is what I was reading. Define, identify customer requirements. Measure. When I say customer, I mean the person, right? The customer is not, we're not, in this case, we're not thinking about who the customer is. When we say that, well, as a matter of fact, Salaki, we're not thinking about who the customer is, but the customer really, you trying to, the entity, the person that you're trying to make happy is Yahweh, right? You're trying to, the customer is who you're trying to live up to the requirements of, right? The customer is not an actual customer in the case of what we're talking about right now. The customer will be the Lord, right? Yahweh and Yahweh. We're trying to meet his requirements. Measure current performance, right? So this is like whatever your problem is. Say for instance, it's your car. You like, man, that thing ain't really performing that well. You know what I'm saying? The car, it be cutting out sometimes. You know, I gotta do this and I gotta do that. So you want to measure and be honest with what the performance is of your problem. Analyze. You want to identify the root cause for your performance shortfalls. So basically, you want to analyze the root cause of your problem, right? What is it? If your car is messing up, is it the battery? Is it the alternator? Like, what's the root cause? And what's the process to find out that root cause? Improve. Once you find out that it's the battery or the alternator, once you find out that it's just a cable or something or whatever the issue is, now you can make a plan on how to improve that problem. I'm using something as simple as a car because, you know, this is something that we all, problems that we all have. So once you figure out what that problem is, now, okay, time to improve. So you want to look at what are improvements. But what if the problem is, if you analyze your problem and you're somebody that's close to committing adultery because of lust, right? So if you measure and analyze your problem and you find out that what's leading you to almost commit a sin is your own lust or your own covetousness, right? Now you got to figure out what do you need to do to improve and eliminate that lust and covetousness. You see what I'm saying? You see how the correlation can actually work with the truth? But you have to know exactly what sin that you're dealing with. You have to know exactly what problem you're actually having. You can't lie to yourself and say, oh, I'm not dealing with no lust, or oh, I'm not dealing with no covetousness. I ain't. Or you can't lie to yourself. You got to look in the mirror and you got to realize, like, if you were King David and you laid with Bathsheba, you got to realize what happened, what made you do that, and you got to realize why you being judged for that thing. Like King David, he was being judged, but he kind of he knew how the Lord operated. So this is what I'm talking about as far as being proactive, eliminating your problem before it becomes a sin where you getting judged harshly by the Most High. This techniques to be proactive, right? So once you improve, now you can control your issue. You can control your lust or covetousness, or you can control that car that you figured out that it was it was a cable cord going to the battery, not the actual battery. And now, once you have fixed that problem, now you can control that problem. You can monitor. A lot of times, controlling is about monitoring what you've implemented, what you fixed. So you fix something, and now you just monitor the performance of it. Now you just look at it to be like, okay, you might even put some type of acceptance criteria on it. You're like, look, if I put myself in this arena full of these types of people these women or whatever that you lusting after, or these men that you lusting after, and you don't feel anything, you don't feel the urge to transgress or do nothing lustful or covetous, then maybe you're now in control. You see what I'm saying? So you have to implement certain improvements in your life, which is the law, right? You have to learn how to implement certain improvements in your life after you analyze your problem and you are real with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That's one of the big problems. Our people delusional as hell, and they don't want to think that they the problem, right? So once you analyze that, you figure out the improvements, which is usually it's gonna be some type of law that's telling you not to do what you're doing, right? Or like I said, if it's something physical like your vehicle or something, that's much more simple. But you need to ask yourself, why is the Lord letting you always be in a situation where your car breaking down, or your bathroom flood and you got to do some work to the house? Why is it always you? Because more than likely, it's a slap on the wrist from the Lord. It's some type of judgment for something that you're not doing. So that's why I open this up by saying examine yourself. Because a lot of the times, all you got to do is look at what you're not doing, what you didn't do, and what you and not even just what you're not doing, but whatever you are doing that's transgressing the Lord's laws, and just don't do it again, right? And to the best of your ability, eliminate that. A lot of information here, a lot of information. We don't need all of it, right? So here, the MEG project and deployment effort required. So you see, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And right here, if I zoom in, project authorization. Remember, you're trying to be better. Think of that as a project. Project authorization assigned to a black belt or green belt. This is how they do it at a company. They'll assign me a whole project, and then I got to pick people out to help me with the project. And most of the time, most of the people, they're not qualified, but I have to teach them. All right, so initial project validation. All right, so this is what we're doing. We're kind of validating things when we're measuring, right? So let me go to the measure phase. Well, let me not jump over define. So we're in define, right? So you want to define your problem. I'm not gonna go through all the extra technical stuff, and we will get to the conflict resolution, which is probably gonna be, the most entertaining part of this particular lesson. The conflict resolution that you Israelites always be in conflict. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all definitely need it, and that's no cap. Let's see. Right now, we want to just figure out everyday issues and how to tackle them, right? So this is the defined overview. It's gonna take some time for this to there you go. Y'all don't need to know how to do a project charter and all this different stuff like that. That's way too technical for a Bible class. So I'm just going through this to get to the slides that I want to use. Okay. So when you have a problem, you want to look at that problem and kind of like look at it. How we do is we call it a problem statement, right? So we come up with a statement that basically lets us know exactly what we need to solve, right? So the problem statement identifies what problem the improvement project is addressing. Usually it describes the pain, issue, or a problem, right? So what is your pain? What is your issue? What is your problem right now? Think about that in your mind. What is something that's a pain in your damn neck right now? What's something that is a problem right now that you want to eliminate and get out of your life, right? Can also describe an opportunity, should be measurable, right? So when you assign a problem statement, they're just basically saying, when they say measure, it should just be something that you can quantify, you can see, something that you can not like measure with a ruler, not like that, just something that you can understand, right? Identifies where and when problems occur. So you got to identify where and when did this problem occur, right? If you had an argument with your spouse, where and when did it happen? Did it happen in Walmart? Where and when did it happen? Because sometimes the environment that you were at could be a cause, right? Defines what is not meeting customer expectations. So what is not meeting Yashayah's expectations, right? What's going on? What's not meeting the standards of the law? What are you doing, right? Describe the magnitude and impact of the problem. Is this a big problem? Is it a level? If you got 3 levels and one being the highest level, is it a level 1? Is it a level 2 or level 3? What is the magnitude of the problem? Is it big? Is it minute? What is it? How large the problem is. Like, okay, how big is it? Describe the impact presented by the problem. How does it impact your life? Let me just throw something else out there that some Israelite mother or father may be dealing with. Do you have a daughter or a son or something that's in the rainbow society, right? What do you do about that? What can you do about that? Because sometimes some things are like out of our control, right? But what do we do if we try to be proactive? If we're trying to prevent that from happening. I'm just throwing stuff out there, problems and issues. Problem statement, tips and traps. Validate problem is based on data versus perception or gut feel. So make sure your problem is not just how you feel, but it's actually a real issue. Make sure your problem is not how you feel, but it's actually a real issue, right? Ensure the customers of the process, the customers, who are that? That's Yahweh. That's Yahweh and Yahweh. You trying to make sure that you're living up to their standards, right? Ensure that the Lords, right, think working on this process is valuable and necessary. Make sure that it's an issue that the Lord, the ultimate Lord, capital Lord, really would feel better about you if you fix that, right? Make sure it's something that the Lord is interested in you being better about, not just some random, you just trying to solve somebody else for, like, make sure it's just within the law. Traps, prejudging a root cause within the problem statement. So if you don't know the root cause, you should not already have it in your mind as you're trying to solve a problem. You should not already have something in your mind saying that, oh, I already know what it is. I know what it is. No, just don't tell you. Just act like you don't know what it is, and you go through the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, and then don't have any bias, and then be real with yourself about what the problem actually really is. And then once you know that, then you could work on the problem. But don't give a root cause, or don't be biased on what you think the root cause actually is. You can have it in your mind like, oh, I think it's Shemaiah, I think it's Aria, I think they part of the root. You can have it in Salaki for using y'all, brother. But I'm saying you can have it in your mind, but don't automatically put that blame on the person until like what the scriptures say, examine until you know the truth. Including a solution in the statement. So you don't want to, one of the traps is you don't want to, if you do write a problem statement, and this is mainly for more professional people, like, because when they write a problem statement, they might put what they think is the solution in there. You're not supposed to even be thinking about what the solution is yet. You got to go through the proper steps first. If you already got the solution, then why you even going through the whole process if you already know the solution, right? Writing a statement that is too narrowly defined or too broadly defined. So don't try to add everything. Don't try to solve 10 problems in one project. No. Solve a couple of problems in each project. That's it. Don't be trying to solve, that, because then you'll never even get one thing done. So here are problem statement examples. This is more technical for people that's in that field of work. Now for us Bible thumpers, right? You want to give yourself a goal for your project or your problem, your situation that you basically reaching whatever goal it is, which should be eliminating that problem, right? Defines and clarifies the goal of the project, includes measurable targets and completion date, starts with the verb, eliminate defects. You want to eliminate all the, issues or the contributing causes that you have. You want to reduce, just reduce. I don't even want to say time here. You want to reduce the probability of you having the same problem again, right? And we're not worried about the rest. That's more technical. You want to give yourself SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. They call that SMART goals. All right, we don't need all this. All right, so I think that's enough for the define phase, defining the problem. Let's move on as we are pressed for time a bit. And one of the crazy things about this ebook right here is that it has the buffer. Once I go like 10 slides, it has the buffer until I can get to the next one. And I got a long way to go. Let's see. To get out of, let me see. I need to just jump to where I need to go here. That ain't gonna help. Right. Well, and now where I'm going now is to the measure phase. Then we're gonna go to analyze, improve, and control. I normally would be able to type in what, what I'm saying, like do a control F, but I can't do that on this PowerPoint. So that's kind of killing me. That's why I got to go through all these damn slides. I didn't think about that because I don't use this all the time, this PowerPoint. All right. But if there's any questions in the process, like any questions or any like like Arias, you said you had a precept. If anything else that you want to bring out, bring it out. Cause I gotta do some work to get to where I'm going on this. But I'm gonna get to it. Anybody got any questions? Is anything in the chat? Let me look. See. Nope, I don't see nothing. I see 8 participants. All right.
Hey, Salakia.
Go ahead, Doc.
Khan, I got 2 precepts. This is a good lesson, Doc. It's very important, especially a lesson like this. And one of the best classes pertaining to HOI is when brothers do lessons on their experience pertaining to their talents and their gifts. You know, because there's so many different angles to come at it, you know. But when you're speaking about experience pertaining to what you're good at, and you're putting a lesson on this, you know, it edifies a whole lot of people and looking at situations from different angles, right? So I had two precepts. This one is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17. When everyone have it, say Khan.
All
right. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17. It says, "For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely to know how the world was made and the operation of elements." Right? Now we jump into verse 20. "The nature of living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds, and the reasonings of men." So the point I wanted in this verse was the reasonings of men, right? The thought process, different situations people might go through. And Solomon, if you read in the book of what was it, Second Samuel, I think, when it talked about Solomon and how the two women came up, and one was talking about the baby that they ate, and her baby was still alive, but then the other woman lied and said that that was her baby, right? So Solomon gave them a little quiz, basically. He tested them. He said, "Who baby is it?" Both of them said it's his. So Solomon said, "Okay, I'm gonna find out who baby it is." Now the way he did it, he used a different method that was surprising everybody else. He said, "I'm gonna cut the baby in half." Now he didn't explain why he said, "I'm gonna cut the baby in half." He already had the thought process set up. I'm gonna cut the baby in half because the one that truly loves the baby and is truly his mother, it wants the baby to survive, But the one that's vengeful, has a wicked spirit, is jealous, and is covetous, right? That one is gonna say, "Go ahead, kill the baby." Right? I get what I want. So when the other mother said, "No, don't kill the baby, just give it to that woman, just so they could save the baby," Solomon understood that was the mother. Right? So he had to understand the problem, and same thing like you were saying right here with this lesson right here. Get to the root cause of the problem, right? And use different methods and all of that. So, and I got one more. Second Timothy's. Yeah, Second Timothy's chapter 1 and verse number 6. Second Timothy's chapter 1 and verse number 6. It says, "Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of God, which is in thee by the putting on of hands." So the reason why I'm bringing out this precept, the Lord said, bring back that gift of remembrance that you have, right? Remember the gifts that the Most High gave you. And it could be through talents, through gifts pertaining to your workspace, your careers, things you're great at, you know, certain professions the Lord put you through. And the reason why he do that, so you could basically magnify the gifts that he gave you. And then you could take those gifts and you could use it when it pertains to the works of Yahweh Shem Shah. Right? It could be you being a chef. It could be you being a carpenter. You being a problem solver. Right? These gifts is used to also benefit the children of Israel in the works of the Lord. So let's use our gifts, family. Come Yashayah.
Yashayah.
Uh,
Kind of moving around here, but pretty sure y'all can see. See measure phase overview. Is that what we're looking at?
Con.
Okay, con. All right. So let's get into it a little bit. Like I said, we ain't gonna be on this phase a lot because a lot of this is mathematical, but just so that you understand what using the tool of measurement is in the spirit and both like in the business world. Measure identifies the measures that will be used to baseline process performance. What's that? Person performance, right? or whoever the problem is, or whatever the problem is, the performance of it, right? So measure identifies the measures that will be used to baseline process performance and determine how well processes are meeting customer requirements. Customers are meeting, customers are, the meaning of it is, like we know, the Lord and Yashayah, right? Meeting the Lord's requirements describes and displays variation in the process. Process again, describing variation in the person, right? What's variation? Variation, this is rhetorical, right? Variation is like you're doing something different than what the law is telling us to do, right? So when you have variation in your behavior, right? When your behavior is that of what the Christian church taught you, and then you come into this truth and you learn you got to keep the law, statutes, commandments. Well, now there's variation in what you are doing versus where you need to be, right? Or what you need to be doing. So when you have too much variation in your daily life of how you go about things, this is how you have a lot of problems. This is why problem solving is based on variation. Like, and when I say variation, it's based upon like how many things you have going on that are not controlled, not regulated, or when you are living by the law, you don't have a whole lot of different things you're doing that's outside of the law. Your lifestyle doesn't vary, right? It's not a lot of variation in what you're doing. But when you are new in this truth, or when you're somebody that's trying to adjust to keeping the law, yes, your behaviors will have a lot of variation, and you don't know how to eliminate that yet. You don't necessarily know how to eliminate the variation in your life, and that's why you're having these results that are undesirable, because you don't know how to make the variation smaller. And that's what all of this math is about here in Six Sigma. You're trying to make the curve smaller, right? The curve is too wide. You're trying to make it smaller so that your baseline touches the bottom of both of those curves. And that's a mathematical thing. But like I said, you could do it without even knowing the mathematics. You could apply these things to your life and eliminate your problems without having all this variation away from what the customer, which is the Lord, right? Which is the person, the being, the entity that we're trying to make sure he's happy, right? Let me start back in the middle. And determine how well processes people are meeting the Lord's requirements, describes and displays variation in the people, and calculate people's performance through statistical measures of sigma and yield. So your own performance, it won't be mathematically calculated through sigma and yield, but it will be calculated based upon how you're performing the law, how you're keeping God's law. Are you did you go to the feast of dedication? Did you congregate with people? Did you do your best, even if you didn't go? Did you do your best to try to make it and it just couldn't happen? I mean, are you, like I said, not just the dietary laws, but are you keeping these laws to the best of your ability? That's what's gonna measure. That's what's gonna give you a yield or an increase. That's how the Lord is gonna increase you in knowledge and wisdom and keep you growing in His truth, right? Measure phase overview. Let's see. Identify and define key indicators of people's performance, process performance. Develop data collection plan, right? When you collecting data, that's more so of you thinking to yourself of all of the instances that cause the problem. So let's say, for instance, you got a gripe. You're a sister. You have basically an art with another sister, but you've had two arguments before already. So basically, all of the information from those arguments or whatever, that will be the data that you collected. Or, vice versa. Your brother, you got an issue with a brother, and they keep doing something. You wanna definitely, collect that data and say, hey, yo, yeah, that brother, the other day, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to give him some scriptures and he wouldn't take the correction. You know what I'm saying? You wanna note that. You wanna note that, right? Because all this data is gonna help you when you get to the next phase of analyzing that data. You have to collect the data and have your evidence. Because what if it's something that you actually have to take to counsel? So you have to collect your evidence. This is what the measure phase is talking about, right? All of these things are gonna help you solve your problem later. So measure the evidence of your problem. Calculate baseline performance. You don't necessarily have to do that. That's math. Display performance data, right? You don't have to write it down all the time. Some things you can remember yourself. Is when you have these personal issues or personal problems, it doesn't get as deep as this, as like trying to dissect some scientific process. So we don't really need to actually learn the actual math, which would be probably impossible for me to teach it to people anyway, because it was hard for me. Promote productive team and change management atmosphere. So yes, you want to promote. You want to if you're a leader, right? These are the things you want to be doing for a team of people that you're trying to help solve a problem. The measure was short than I'm. Let's see. A lot of that is mathematical, man. So now what I want to do is go to analyze, and I'm gonna bring out the story of King David, right? King David when he dealt with Bathsheba. I'm gonna bring that out in 2 Samuel. That's chapter 11. But before I bring it out, I want to go over some analytical things first. Right? Let me get to that. But this is what I mean. Since we've went through define, and we've went through what we need to know about measure. We're about to go to analyze and improve, and you know, let's see. And we're also going to break down a biblical story, and we're going to use some of the things that we've learned so far. If y'all been learning, because I'm definitely going to ask some questions. We're going to use some of the things that we've learned so far to help us analyze the what was the root cause of why David did that. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna analyze something, and then we're gonna talk about certain things and the reason why us Israelites, um, you know, are being judged on more of a mass scale. Right? I'm running my mouth. It's like I can't run my mouth and do this at the same time. It's too much. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I need a damn assistant or something. But yeah, man, these things will work for you, but we have to just kind of show you. I have to kind of show you how you can apply them to the scriptures. Because right now, looking at it as is, it's very super technical. So, and one of the things um that came to mind when I was learning all this stuff about 15 years ago, one of the things that came to mind was that, man, maybe one day I was meant to learn this to help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I never really figure out, like, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I know I can show people how to, be a better problem solver, but I didn't know the Bible that well 10 or 15 years ago. But now, I can wing through this, and I can kind of show you you know, what this is talking about, how it correlates to becoming a better person, a better Israelite, eliminating your problems, having a better life, a more quality, productive, a happier life. Right? So let's talk about variation for a minute, because I was talking about that earlier, but I didn't really have a lot of slides to really go into detail on that. Variation happens. All repetitive activities of a process have a certain amount of fluctuation or variation. So everything you do in life has variation in it. But what you want to do is try to tighten up that variation. And if you look at these frequencies below, you will see, you look at these charts below, you'll see time and frequency. Just different types of charts that they use to explain something. Variation is the voice of the process. When plotted, process variation becomes visible over time. Input processes and output measures will have variation. Failure to understand variation could be costly. Failure to understand the fact that you're not keeping a certain law all the time, and it's too much variation. Like, you're not keeping a certain law the right way all the time. Like, maybe you're not wearing your fringes or something out when you're going out all the time. So that's variations. You wearing your fringes 3 days out of the week, 3 out of 7 days. But that's variation in what you're doing for the Lord. Is that gonna make the customer, the Lord, happy? Right? You got to know that it's not. So this is what variation can relate to, right? It can relate to basically whether or not you're living up to the standards, or your behavior is different sometimes. You want to eliminate a lot of that variation. Is your behavior different from the standards, the 613 laws, statutes, commandments? Well, you want to get tighter on that, right? You want to keep the law better. And then you'll start seeing your blessings come in the better you get at doing that, which will encourage you to keep going harder and harder, right? But a lot of people are not seeing the increase because they have too much variation in how they keep the law. Like, you know how some people talking about they OT only, and you know what I'm saying? They keep the law, but then they don't believe in your house. Like, it's too much variation, right? They got to tighten that up. They're not pleasing the Lord with all that variation. Process variation, or person variation, inhibits our ability to meet the Lord's requirements, not customer requirements. It inhibits our ability to meet the Lord's requirements. Too much variation in what you're doing on a daily basis, it is critical to the quality of your life. It's critical to the quality of your output, right? You see this curve? See how wide this curve is? You really want to make this curve as narrow as possible. It's too wide. It's too much variation. So as you see on the side of this red line, it's where a lot of defects happen at, because that's outside of, we want to be closer to this A, right? We want to be closer to this, and we want this curve to come in. We don't want it to be so wide. That's too much variation. But that's how most of our brothers and sisters are living, right? They living with too much variation in their life, and so they having a lot of defects. A lot of problems are happening. A lot of problems are happening on these wide ends of this curve of variation for people. Right? So remember that word variation. When it's too much variation in your life, too much moving away from the commandments and doing things that is not pleasing the Lord, the customer, right? It's not pleasing your creator, who you ultimately doing this to please, then you have to eliminate and reduce that variation. You must eliminate and reduce that variation. right? We're looking at these curves, and it's getting mathematical. You know what I'm saying? It's getting mathematical. See, you got to know how to do standard deviations, all of that. See what I'm saying? It ain't, you don't have to know that to solve your particular issue. I'm talking about like on a corporate level. You know what I mean? Like this is and nobody's gonna hire you if you don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is not gonna hire you if looking at this variation that's going on in your life, and you just kind of don't care. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of, you just want to like Christians, you just want to have the faith, right? Lean on your faith. You see how this curve is tight right here, A and B. You see how remember that curve I just showed you how a lot of the defects happen because the curve was too wide. But if you look at it now, you see where we really want to be is right in between this space right here, this small funnel, which is it's very narrow, right? If your variation is this small, means you could probably have a transgression here and there, but you will repent and you will be able to recover from whatever defects you have the flesh, from the flesh, or giving you issues. You'll be able to recover from that. But if your curve of variation is too wide, you may put yourself out of business. You know what I'm saying? You may fall out of the truth. You see this critical to quality, CTQ. See that red line? If you're all over here and your variation is all over here, sometimes you want to go to Red Lobster and eat you some crab legs, right? The Lord ain't dealing with that. You see what I'm saying? You moving with too much variation. You want to get over here. You see where it says process A, dashed line, excessive variation. That's too much of you not conforming to the law. Defects are created when process variation exceeds critical to quality, also known as USL, upper spec limit. So when you outside of that spec limit, you outside of the Lord's rules, you're gonna have some defects in your life. You're gonna have some problems, a lot more than you would if you're within spec. See, if you're out of spec, that means you're out of order, right? Process B, solid line, reduce variation. If you're on the other side of this red line, you see where B is, then your variation is reduced. You have a less likely chance of going off, of going against the Lord's law. You got a less likely chance of making critical mistakes if your variation is reduced. Defects or mistakes or what I want to call transgression are eliminated or reduced when process variation stays within CTQ. So whenever you keep your process variation low, your transgressions will be lower. You see what I'm saying? If you keep your variation of how you live in your life, if you keep all of that tight, your transgressions will be less, right? But let's see how to do that, because it's easier said than done, right? It's easier said than done. And if you look, you see all these grams, all these graphs. It's easier said than done, but when we learn how to define, measure, and then what we get into next, analyze our issues, we know what a variation is. Therefore, once we know what a variation is, we can reduce that. We can and eliminate that. You really, ultimately, you want to eliminate the variation, right? You want to eliminate doing things outside of God's law. You want to eventually eliminate that, but you have to understand your variation first. This is why you got to collect the data. This is why you gotta, you gotta examine yourself and the situation, right? Let's see, sources of variation. It might be helpful. Just saw that. This is definitely too technical. That ain't gonna help us. Special cause versus common cause variation. Let me see. Nah, I don't want to break that down to the Bible right now. That's super technical. Let me just go straight to improve. But in the meanwhile, if anybody got any questions, comments about what we went through on variation or how that relates to biblical situations or the Bible, please ask. Or if anybody want to make a comment, now's the time. Or bring out a precept.
Salaki, you still want me to hold the 2 Samuel 11, right?
Yeah, hold that. You still hold that.
Okay. So.
I know I should be bringing out a lot more scriptures. But I'm kind of winging this because it was last minute. Just found out I was gonna do this yesterday. You know what I mean? But we here. And I will be bringing out. This is a whole chapter we're gonna be bringing out in a second. And I just wanted to let the spirit flow because we know what we're looking at. You know, when we're looking at it, and we know what precepts. The Lord just gonna give us precepts. It's just what the Spirit does. So we good on that. All right. It's just this damn trying to use this app with this. Actually, this is a file that's in my phone, and usually I could search through this file by doing a Control F, but I cannot do that. Now we don't analyze. I cannot do it that way on the Zoom, on the phone. So let's do it this way. All right, analyze phase introduction. And analyze the questions of why the organization is unable to meet the Lord's requirements. The organization here will be you or your congregation. Is understood. Analyze utilizes both processes and data analysis techniques to drill down to the root cause problems that will ultimately lead to solutions. So this is analyzing is what's actually going to help you drill down and figure out what the root cause of your problems are. But these are different tools that you can use. And when I say tools, one of them is 5 whys, one of them is fishbone diagram. Those are certain types of tools that you put all of your problems in, you plot those, and you kind of do like a strikeout, a process of elimination. Which ones are true, which are not. Almost like brainstorming, right? We're going to get to that, though. Analyze also keeps the team from jumping to premature solutions from measure. So measure, you were just actually collecting data. You don't want to think you got a solution yet. You were just collecting data, right? All right. Analyze phase overview. Identify potential root causes. Identify value-added and non-value-added processes. Identify value-added and non-value-added people. That's what that is, really, when you translate it. Identify cause and effect relationships, right? A lot of your problems are happening because of cause and effect. Something you did or somebody else did. Analyze the data and process to determine root causes, right? Here's that chart again, telling you for every process there is an independent variable called Y. You want to measure that against X, right? It's a little too technical. We ain't using that part. Process door. So in the analyze phase, you want to make sure that you're identifying the root cause, right? It could be multiple. It could be like 3 different. It could be contributing causes. It might not all be root causes. Some of them may be contributing causes. You want to get to those so that you can just pinpoint those. Just say, for instance, like I said before, the root cause of your car not starting was the battery. You want to go to AutoZone, get a diagnostic test, and find out what is the battery or alternator? Then you mess around and find out that it's actually a cord. It's not the battery alternator. So the next step is what? The improved phase, which will be buying a new hot cord from the red part of the battery that goes, down to wherever it goes. So you want to identify your problem, because if you don't really know the root, you know what the problem is. You want to identify the root cause of your problem, because if you don't know the root cause, you'll be just reaching, just trying to solve anything, right? And so this is why you collected that data. This is why you defined what the problem was, so you could really figure out what that root cause was in this phase. So let's find out what the root cause was in 2 Samuel chapter 11. You can go ahead and read it.
And I got a precept as well too for this lesson as well. It's a good one. Well, we'll do 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel 11. What verse?
2 Samuel 11 started verse 1.
Okay. It's the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11 and verse 1. Will anybody have it? Say Khan. 2 Samuel, chapter 11 and verse 1. And it came to pass after the year was expired at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass.
So at this time, everything is good, right? Everything is good. David don't have the issues yet. Read.
And it came to pass in an eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her. And she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house.
All right, so hold on. So verse 3, right? Well, no, let's go back to verse 2. So David arose from his bed, and he he went and saw Bathsheba washing herself, right? And the woman was very beautiful to look upon. What should David had done when he looked upon Bathsheba? He saw a naked woman out there. He knew she was married. What could he have done at that moment to keep him from transgressing or going further? And anybody can answer that. You can answer that in the chat. You can, what do you think would have been a quick solution right then?
Lucky, we got the YouTube as well too.
Right. So I'm giving y'all a little space of a few, maybe like 30 seconds. We should play some damn Jeopardy music. Good. So when David saw Bathsheba over there looking beautiful and all that, he kept looking though. What could he have done to not end up in the situation he did? Could he have ignored her and just went back in the house like, oh damn, that's a such and such wife? Right. If David, he knew the law, but he's a man, right? So a man, he's looking, he's like, oh wow, man, he couldn't stop looking, I guess. But that was the beginning of David's dissension into the transgression that he made. Read.
Khan. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?
Okay, so Salakia, my bad. Yeah, David didn't know whose wife it was. He was just looking like, oh, wow, you know what I'm saying? So once he found that out, He could have just let that be that, right?
Con.
That's what he could have done. So Salakia for the off question. But that's one of the preventative or proactive things that David could have done. He could have just let that go. Like, oh man, that's so and so. Oh, this is wife. Oh damn, I need to rebuke my eyes. You know what I'm saying? But he was definitely in lust. David was definitely dealing with lust at that time. Come on now. I mean, he's a man. We're not condemning him. He's a man, and women are women. And, you know, people deal with these issues. You know what I mean? Read.
Con. And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him. And he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness. And she returned unto her house.
Right. Now, what could Bathsheba have done? And this situation wouldn't have happened. B, Yiska, call y'all out now. We got Mike Allah. We got, yeah, got a few people. Yeah,
hey,
so
Salakia, she could have just declined or walked away.
right.
You know?
Basically,
And I know I know he's a king, but she could have declined and walked away and even remind him that you're the king of Israel. You know, this will be a sin. I have a husband. This will be a sin.
right.
You know?
She could have deaded the whole situation and just been like, nah, I'm married. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're the king, but I can't do this. But she did it. Right? So she could have stopped it and he could have stopped it, but nobody stopped it. Right, Read.
Con. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child.
Right. So now it's getting scandalous. Now she was pregnant and man, you know what I'm saying? Things went too far. And now she had Uriah thinking that's his baby more than like the whole time. The whole time she knew it was David's child. Right? You finna say something, Mark?
Hey, if the Bible ain't real, we see this every day. They had that. There's a video on YouTube of a brother. He just found out his wife with their child for 16 years, and he just found out that was not his child the whole time.
Right. Right. 16 years.
Yeah.
And they was doing this. Obviously, they was doing this 3,000 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
God.
Like, that's crazy. Like, yeah, man. That's a lot of stuff I want to say about that. Like, that's crazy that they was doing this like 3,000, 3,500 years ago, bro. Like, you know, you got to know King David was, you know what I'm saying, was before, you know, Moses and all that. Like, you got to know, like, this is going back. This is going back. Read.
God. What you want? Verse 6.
Where I was coming. Nah, jump to verse. Damn. Yeah, we want to know about what happened with Uriah. So yeah, just read right there, verse 7.
Verse 7, or
Yeah, verse
you
7.
said verse 7? All right, God. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered.
Read.
And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king.
Right. So I don't know if the king felt guilty, but he you know, he gave him like he left him with some gift. But the king knew. I mean, King David knew what had happened, and you know, it's at this point it had to be awkward, and it looked like he was probing him and trying to figure out what he was gonna do with him. Right? Read.
But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into mine house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. And David said to Uriah, Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and tomorrow and the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house.
Right. Uriah was scared to go through the trenches to go to the house. You know, David had hitmen out there. You know what I'm saying? And this was not a normal. He knew that this wasn't like normal for the king to summon him like that. So he was like, "Yo, something is up." You know what I'm saying? Read.
And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hands of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die.
Wow. So this lust has made David go off. You know what I'm saying? Like this lust done made him put together a whole plan to eliminate a man. You know what I'm saying? Like for a woman. And this child that he created that he wanted, I guess he, you know, for whatever reason, man, I'm not gonna put no words in the king's mouth, but I guess he wanted to live a life with this woman. Read.
And it came to pass when Joab observed the city that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people of the service of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also.
Right. So they left Uriah to be cannon fodder. You know what I'm saying? Man, just, you know, just eliminated the man just like that, right? Yeah, man. So Uriah went to that war and that was it, man. You know what I'm saying? He got smoked. That was David's plan. Jump down to verse 26.
Verse 26. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the morning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord.
Right. So what did David do? David had too much variation in how he was moving, right?
God.
That goes back to variation. David was doing things outside of the law, right? Even though Uriah, right? Uriah was a Hittite, or you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, David was doing things outside the law. He laid with this man's wife. I mean, man, he sent the man to war to die like cannon fire. He made a whole plan. He really, you know what I'm saying? He tried to get him drunk and let him wander back to the house so he could have one of his henchmen probably do something to him. He really, you know what I'm saying? He really was going off on a deep level. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that was that variation that we're talking about. Like, you know, you don't want a certain sin or any sin, period, to make you defer from the law, statutes, and commandments, go away from what God taught you, you know, or told you that you need to do. Right. So when we get these temptations, because that's a very real temptation that David dealt with, when we get these temptations in life, even if we make that mistake, right? How do you make sure you don't make the same mistake again? That's what we're really talking about. We're not really necessarily talking about the mistake itself. The issue at hand is how do you repent and keep from doing that again, right? That is what this problem solving, that's what this is all about. is fixing something and not doing it again, and actually improving yourself in your life because you was able to fix those things, those transgressions, and not do them again. So, another question: what sin was David dealing with? Um, what was he dealing with that led him to do this? And it's actually a few things, but I want people to drill down to the root cause, and tell me, like, okay, what caused David to do what he did? Ready, set, go.
Salaki, can you hear me?
Con.
I got a quick one. Exodus 20:17.
Okay, I'm going to it. You gonna read it?
Con. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, Salaki, thou neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Right, right. And y'all don't gotta be embarrassed. I'm not gonna embarrass y'all on YouTube and on live, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't gotta be scared to come out the mic. It's all good. Yeah, David was covetous. He was dealing with the spirit of covetousness, right? He saw another man's wife and he lusted after her, right? So lust covetousness leads to what? Leads to lust. Lust leads to all these other actions that are all transgressions against God's law, right? So ultimately, David being covetous led him to be lustful, and then his lust led him to be sinful. Um, I mean, even more sinful because he was already sinful by lusting and being covetous. But then it led him to trying to get rid of the man, eliminate the man after he had already committed adultery, right? So then it's man, it was a few different types of sins in there, but they all branched off from covetousness. This is why it's important to check yourself on covetousness, looking at other people, what they got. It ain't just they white car talking about, yeah, I want that car. Looking at, because what happens? Then that spirit hits a person. I'm gonna steal his car. Or I'm gonna break in his house and get that TV he got. That's where all of the theft and that's where all the that's where all the messed up things come from. Comes from first being covetous of something that's not yours. The Lord said, don't do it, right? And if we really analyzing things, the things that David had done different when he saw Bathsheba, he didn't do that. And the root of doing these things is his covetousness was not in check, and he's the king, right? He's a man of the Lord's heart. The scriptures say David was a man after the Lord's own heart. But guess what? He was a human being, flesh. He was flesh, bone. And that's what fighting. The spirit is fighting the flesh while we live in this earth. It's a very real thing. And people don't know how to eliminate, stop them from doing that again. And that's why I'm teaching this lesson, how to steal self from making the same mistakes over and over again. Right? The next time that David would come into that situation, obviously he wouldn't do it again. Steps sometimes to eliminate, to getting that spirit off. Right now, it's not telling you to get those spirits off of you. Gotta keep the law to the best of your ability and repent. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. It's a so I don't want to end up for insanity. You have to get to the cause. At that Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And we're just gonna read to like 7. Because these are root causes of the Israelites' problems. These are root causes of our problems. And right now, today, one of the reasons why we can't eliminate the root cause is because we don't survive people get it. Don't know. Deuteronomy 28, verse 1.
Con. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come
Right.
on thee
Read.
and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city,
Right.
and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kin, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways.
All right, let's stop right there. All of these are blessings, all the way up to verse 15. These are blessings that the Lord said he would give us if we keep his laws and commandments, if we observe and do his commandments. These are blessings that we were going to get, right? If we do these things. Jump to verse 15.
Verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statute, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now let's stop right there. All these curses are upon us and overtaking us as a nation because of what root cause? Because of what root cause? Deuteronomy 28, verse 1, right? Because our forefathers didn't observe and hearken diligently. They didn't do all the commandments which the Lord commanded them, and they started going off. And that's why we in the situation we in right now, right? So there's always a root cause to the effect. There's always a root cause to the current situation. If you go back and you eliminate Deuteronomy 28, verse 1, if you eliminate that you're not hearkening diligently, if you eliminate not keeping the commandments, if you eliminate not obeying the voice of the Lord, if you eliminate that, then guess what? You don't get Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. It don't come to pass that all these curses were gonna come over you and overtake you. If you eliminate that, these curses, they still gonna be on you, to be honest, because the Lord ain't came back yet. But they're not gonna be on you as hard. They're not gonna be on you to the same extent as other people, right? But I'm just showing you the root cause, the way to look at and really what's the root cause, right? And most of the time for us as Israelites, the root cause is us hearkening the Lord, his voice, his command. It's just what it is. And if you well, he's gonna see that and reward you. But he's gonna punish you first for your transgression. You gotta go through that. You gotta go through the fire, right? Because gold is tried in the furnace of adversity. So you gotta go through that. So when analyzing analyze phase, when analyzing your problem, somebody says Salaki. Thought I heard something. But when analyzing your problem, you need to look at what laws did you transgress? What law did you transgress? What did you do? Right? And what do you need to not do again? And that comes with repentance. That comes with being honest with yourself. And sometimes that problem could be another person. And you need to analyze what they did. Analyze what they did wrong. Analyze what law they wasn't keeping. And this is how you come up with an improvement in the next phase, because you're actually thinking of ways to eliminate the root cause of keep it from not happening again, right? So like that's why I asked people to when it came to David, what could he had not done? What could he in the best what could he had not done? Because these are the things that you're so-called black, you're in a situation. These are things that you will begin to think about, and Lord's will you think about based upon this lesson or just teachings that right. So let me get back to sharing my screen. Y'all see my screen? Y'all see my screen, right?
Con. Process door. What is the analyze phase overview?
Develop theories and formulate potential causes. Right? Figure out the causes. That's what we were just talking about. Analyze the process. Analyze the data. Understand cause and effect, and verify root causes. Okay, tools that you can use to analyze things. Fishbone diagram, 5 whys. These are more technical things that we use in the corporate setting. But I'm not going to explain exactly how to use each one of these, but the 5 whys is one of the I'm going to explain the 5 whys. Because the 5 whys is the easiest thing that you could do, because it's just you asking why did this happen? And then once you got the answer to that why, say, why did this happen? Oh, because David was covetous. Why was David covetous? Because he was too much variation in how he was living. Sometimes he'd be going off and he never checked it, right? So you say, why did he transgress? Okay, too much variation in his lifestyle. And then, okay, why was it too much variation in his lifestyle? Oh, he's the king. He's, you know what I'm saying? He's rich. The scriptures say it's easier for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle than to enter the kingdom of heaven. So he's got everything, but he's dealing with these issues of still, covetousness, still wanting certain things, because the only thing he don't got is what belongs to somebody else, right? So, we drill down, we can keep on going further. Why did he? Okay, then say, okay, why did he have the lust and covetousness? Because he wanted the only things that he wanted, things that he didn't already have, which was something that belonged to somebody else. All right. Okay. Now if we drill down even more, that's 3 whys, right? Once you get to the 5th why, once you ask why 5 times, you should have an answer. That's the point of doing the 5 whys. Once you ask why 5 times and you do it in that way, if you start off by asking why, and you lead with the actual problem, by the time you get to the 5th why, you will have a root cause, right? You will have a root cause. This is what we call drilling down to the root cause. Let me go back to that. You will have a root cause. And so once you have a root cause, that's what you want to eliminate. That's what you want to get to the next steps of which is the improve phase. That's what you want to get to eliminate and improve your whatever it is that you're dealing with, right? Now actually gonna teach the conflict resolution portion of the class in the middle of the analyze phase, and I'm gonna do it because why? Because that's where they have it actually listed here in this lesson, right? They have it listed in the analyze phase. Why? Because when you're dealing with a project and you're trying to eliminate issues from happening again, sometimes people disagree on how it should be done. And sometimes the disagreements can get ugly. So that could cause conflict, right? So, so we were taught how to deal with conflict basically here at this corporate level. And I want to share it with you guys because here goes 5 whys again, which is a good example of the 5 whys that I probably should have went through with y'all because this is a good example of how you drill down. Yeah, right. So before we get to that, before we get to me breaking down how do you resolve conflict in a way where this works, because it has to work, because if it don't work, somebody getting fired, right? So, but I'm gonna break that down in just a second. But I want to show y'all how this 5 whys, how it really works. All right, so number 1, the first why. Why do we have an increase in customer complaints? Number 2, it says why? Because of late orders. So you got an increase in customer complaints because these orders are taking too long to go through. All right, number 2, why do we have late orders? Right? So because of late orders, the next question is, okay, well, why do we have late orders? See, this is how you get down to start figuring out your problem. Because the orders don't leave the restaurant in time, right? So why don't the orders leave the store in time? Because the cooks received the order 10 minutes after the call was received, not instantly as they should, right? So the cooks receiving the order in a delayed manner, so that's taking even longer. It's adding like 10 minutes to the process, right? Now, number 4, why do the cooks receive the orders 10 minutes after the calls were received? Because the new order entry method takes longer. So maybe it's the problem is this new order entry method that they came up with, which really doesn't work. They try to be all, people try to be all fancy and do something better, but they really mess up everything by making the process longer. Not verse, not verse. Said verse. The fifth why, which should be the root cause, right? Why does the new order entry method take longer? Because employees were not properly trained. So there you have your answer. So now you want to properly train the employees on the new process, and things will move a lot smoother according to what this root cause is, right? If you eliminate the fact that the employees were not properly trained and you train them properly, if that is actually the true root cause, then that will eliminate the extra 10 minutes that is taken to get people their orders. See how the 5 whys works? It's really simple, man. It's really real simple that you can apply to your everyday issues. You can say, man, why? Why is my rib talking back to me? You know what I'm saying? Bam. You know what I'm saying? You find out the answer to that. Then once you find out the answer to that, then you ask the question, why? Why is that? So you keep drilling down until you get, by the time you get to, like I said, but by the time you get to number 4 and 5, you will have a root cause that you can work on eliminating. So this is how you analyze, this is how you figure out what really caused your issue that you having. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could be a lot of things. It could be anything, man. I mean, it could be a flat tire. It could be anything, but you want to ask yourself questions in this order. So if you can, screenshot this what you're looking at right now. Screenshot this 5 whys example. because you will need it when you come into a problem.
Uh,
All right. All right. So what's the purpose of the firewire? It helps assign a cause to the correct subcategory. It guides you to deeper root causes, right? It provides a link from effect to cause. So you know what the effect is. Everybody always know what the problem is, but they don't always know what the root cause is. So this gives you a link from what you're dealing with, the effect that you're dealing with. It gives you a link from that all the way to the root cause of the problem. All right. Now I'm gonna get into the conflict resolution because um it's right here. Earlier when I was looking through this, I saw it like maybe 20 slides after that. And I was like, man, I didn't remember that was actually so close to the analyze phase. But it's just there because like I said, conflict is gonna happen. When you got a camp, when you have a congregation, you have a bunch of people that come from different walks of life, conflict is going to happen. And it's your job if you're a leader, or if you want to be a leader, or even if you're just a person that's actually having the conflict, it's your job to get this conflict resolved in order to for the body to keep functioning properly. Because when people mad at each other and that now they don't want to come to camp, or they don't want to come to class, or they don't want to come on Clubhouse and congregate, they don't want to communicate with their brothers and sisters no more because of some silly issues, that can weaken the camp. You know what I'm saying? That can weaken the camp. That can weaken your congregation. That could slow donations down. It could slow how people are, everybody are moving. People, we're supposed to be moving together and be, you know, like one string and one strong, one strong bar, like a bunch of bars wrapped together. Like that makes us a bigger, stronger piece of metal. But when we are divided like that, that's how we could easily be conquered. Because that's what Esau does, is divide and conquer. So it's like we should know better, but truthfully, I'm 31. I think this is too far down. Um, it's like we should know better, but for some reason, our emotions start getting into play, and next thing you know, man, it's some issues going on. But we have to figure out how to resolve that conflict without letting it escalate and get worse. And then now we looking crazy in front of the whole body of Israel. Right? Oh man, I gotta go way back. I know what I'm gonna do. Can't deal with that. All right. So y'all seeing the hold up. Going back to the ebook. Okay. Starting me over. That's cool. Y'all see the ebook, right? See it, Aria? Okay. I done put
Talaki, can you hear me?
Con.
Yeah, I said I see the scattered diagram or correlation analysis.
Okay. I'm trying to go back like about 100 slides. And so let's see. Every time I try to okay, use the bottom. All right. I see. He like slide 400. Conflict resolution. Because if I remember properly, it was like page 460 or something like that. Right. So any comments, questions, concerns so far?
I had two precepts. I had one precept pertaining to King David, and I had another one. Because you still dealing with the King David story, or
Yeah. We still can deal with that because that's part of the analyze phase.
okay, Con. Uh, I had James 1 and verse 15.
Okay, bring it out. It's 1 and 15.
Yeah, you can start at verse number 14. I'll read it when you're ready.
Hold on. Yeah, James 1, 15. Okay.
James 1 and 14.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, it says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So that's the precept. You know, you could break it down, but that's pertaining to David with Bathsheba. Lust that
Right.
he had, you know.
Right. The death that they brought forth, you know, was of course his son and his lineage and how messed up his lineage was. You know, a lot of death happened. But you know, that son, Salakia particularly that he had with Bathsheba didn't make it. And then the rest of his sons, all except Solomon, basically was all messed up. You know? So yeah, that sin it conceives death. Exactly what it does, man. Great precept.
Con. Praise.
Great precept. Bring it forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bring it forth death. God. Yeah, man. So we gotta eliminate these. We gotta eliminate this lust. We gotta eliminate um, you know, all of these different sins that they when they because it starts out with just that thought, that covetous thought. It turns into something, it turns into lust, right? It turns into something else. And every man is tempted of it, right? So you just have to eliminate the variation. You have to understand how to solve your problems. If you out here creating problems, you can't be a problem solver. Like you just create if you creating issues, you know, over and over again, just because like you hard headed, you cannot be a problem solver when all you do is create the issues. You need to be the person that is eliminating the issues, not constantly creating them and adding sin unto sin. Let's get that precept. Let's see. Yeah, let's get Ecclesiasticus or the Book of Sirach, chapter 5, verse 5. Analyze phase is long, boy. It's a lot. It's a lot of meat. It's a lot of meat. You got that? You got that precept, though? Or didn't you have another precept too?
You hear me?
God.
Yeah, I was on mute. This is Sirach chapter 5 and verse number 5. Concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin. And
Right.
say not, keep going.
Yep.
And say not, his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. For mercy and wrath come from him, and his indignation resteth upon sinners.
Right. So don't say you don't love me no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Concerning your own salvation, don't add sin unto sin. Eliminate that variation and become and different things that's going on. It really goes all back to keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible. It all points back towards that's how you really eliminate the root causes. But you gotta know exactly what transgression you dealing with though. You got basically meaning you gotta know what spirit you're dealing with before you can actually eliminate something, right? You can't eliminate a problem, the spirit that is. Right? That's what studying comes with. Because studying and actually keeping the law what you're dealing with. Like what are you dealing with? Because it's easy to look at other people. Yeah, I know what's wrong with them. I know why. Like you have to think about what about you? Because that's the get grown. Even when your kids get grown, even sometimes the ribs get to the point where they out of control. But what can you control? You can control you, right? And that's really the big, you know what I'm saying? That's the big thing here. Learning how to eliminate, the problem that you're having and in order to control your spirit, you got to eliminate your issues. I'm looking for this actual all right, I'm just gonna do the improved phase. But this is the improved phase we actually here. So I'm just gonna do the improved phase. And when I get to the root cause, I mean the conflict resolution, then I go through it. As you can see, this is an extensive book, and um sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out where certain things is. But this hold on, what's the conflict resolution? Definitely in this annotated somewhere. Let's see. I was moving so fast earlier, but I just overlooked it. So, no, no. Because I saw it and it was like right here somewhere. But like I said, right now we'll stick with the improved phase. So after you've analyzed and you kind of have an understanding of what spirits you're dealing with. You know what the root cause of the problem is. You kind of you've done all this different stuff. So now here comes your corrective and preventative actions, which in the business world we call kappas. Now here comes your corrective and preventative actions that you must take to fix your problem. And really, in this life, living as an Israelite, your corrective and preventive actions are always to do what? To go back to keeping God's law on whatever it was that you slipped up on. That's your campus. But you got to be honest with yourself, because if you don't implement the right corrective and preventative actions, then you just gonna have the same problem over and over again, and eventually you just gonna be a reprobate, and it's a wrap. It's a wrap for you, right? Um, Improve, analyze, identify the vital few root causes, generate solutions, both use logical and creative thinking, review process and data analysis results, obvious remedies the root cause of problems, project goals and targets, benchmarking, meaning benchmarking, if you see how somebody else had the same problem and how they solved it, sometimes you can use their strategy too. Sometimes you can, but not all the time. You're a different person from them, but sometimes what they did to fix their problem might work for you. Look outside of the box, and I'm talking about within the law, of course. Look outside of the box for innovative solutions and ideas. Filter ideas against criteria. Select the best fit solution. So after you review all your review the process, and the process is basically the obvious remedies to root cause a problem will pop up in your mind. Project goals, what are your goals, down targets, and benchmark, and then you come up with the best fit solution. Filter ideas against the criteria and look outside of the box, and then come up with your best kappas, corrective preventative actions, right? Key considerations, solutions, things to consider before generating solution ideas. Assess gap between your current performance and required performance. Determine if incremental or exponential process improvement is required to meet project goals. All right, improvement strategies. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. That's what we are learning tonight. Incremental, let me see, customer requirements, process capability. Is the gap large? No. So basically, remember that chart that I was looking, showing y'all earlier with the it was like a curve. Is it a large gap between you actually being in the right part of the curve or outside of it? Is the gap large, or if it's no, then you go to modify the existing process or a situation. So if you got a problem, right? If you have a problem, do you eliminate the person? If you got a problem with a sister or brother, do you stop dealing with them altogether? Do you deal with them and you do the Matthew 18, and you know what I'm saying, and you go through the motions, and you don't throw the person away. You actually forgive them and do what you're supposed to, right? Or do you go with the DFSS method, which is define, measure, analyze, design, and verify, which is basically throwing that person away and finding somebody else. Like going with it. This is a whole new process, right? Right. This says completely redesign the existing process or build a new process. So completely redesign the existing person or build a new person. You can't build a new person. So what this talking about? Completely get rid of the old person and your association with them and deal with new people. Is that how you can resolve your problem? Sometimes maybe. Sometimes you might have to get away from people. Sometimes you can't solve the problem if they were the problem. And so that's how we would translate this into like improving your life. And you're not gonna remember define, measure, analyze, design, verify, but you probably might remember this first one, the MEG, and use these principles, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Use these principles to implement your law and measure it and analyze it and improve it. Right? Like, yeah. Not gonna go through that. What I really want to get to now is conflict resolution. So let me see if it's a way I can get to it quicker. Let's see. Give me a second. So as far as improving, right? When you're improving your situation, you're basically you're coming up with a way to correct either your behavior or the person who's offending you or everybody's behavior. This is where correction comes in. This is where the right correction comes in, right? Um, you want to improve by making sure the right correction happens. So if you're a teacher, if you're a brother who's a teacher or a brother who's a leader, you want to make sure that you get the right precepts for the person that you're about to counsel or deal with, because that's the correction. Those are the corrective and preventative action that you want them to take, right? This is why the elders are so good at doing this, because they don't need to learn these corporate strategies and all these things, because they've been teaching the law and they've been keeping the law and living as Israelites for over 30 years. So this stuff is just all wired in their brain, right? As far as how to correct issues and things of that nature, right? How to come with solutions. That's kind of already embedded in them. It's they don't need the corporate mathematics and certain things. All they need is the experience they have along being in this community over 30 years and dealing with all these problems and them actually knowing about it, right? And so, I always want to promote and remember and let other people remember that none of this will work if you're not going back to the Bible. Like, you could do all this stuff, but if you're not keeping the Most High close to you, you're not gonna get the results you want. It's just not gonna happen. If you're not keeping the Most High first, is what I mean. You're not really gonna get the results you want. You're just gonna be running in circles, right? And that's not what you want to do. Here we are, FMA risk analysis. This is it's way too deep right there. Risk analysis. Looking for the conflict resolution. I know I took screenshots of it, but the problem is I can't show um I can't show my photos. It won't let me do that on this phone. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know how to use this app the way um experts do. But let's see. Develop project ID. I think, you know what? 729. Honestly, I think that was way back in the beginning. So let me just go back there. 3 something. So I need about a cool 2 or 3 minutes. Ariel, could you say something for me, man? Or just bring out a precept? Give me a couple of minutes to find this conflict resolution, and then that's gonna be the last section that we're gonna go through.
I got Judges. Now, matter of fact, I'll get Joshua. This is a good one right here. This is Joshua chapter 6. Joshua chapter 6. Shalom, can you hear me?
Joshua chapter 6.
So this is Joshua chapter 6 and verse 17. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring out this verse in this story, because it was talking about Akan. And Akan could basically be used for this lesson of a problem solving or conflict resolution, right? So this is Joshua chapter 6 and verse number 17. It's like it, verse number 16. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord hath given you the city, and the city shall be accursed, even it, and all that are in therein. To the Lord, only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves a curse. And when you take of the accursed thing and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. But all the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord, right? So from verse 16 to verse number 19, the Lord is basically he's giving rules, right? He's giving commandments. So he's telling Joshua and the army of Israel, listen, I'm going to let y'all come in and destroy the walls of Jericho, the city of Jericho. But I only want y'all to spare Rahab, right? Because she allowed the spies of Israel in, and she also helped, right? She helped them come in and overtake, their own people and all of that. So the Lord gave Rahab immunity. And then the Lord also said, do not take the things of the people of Jericho. Don't steal nothing. Don't take no animals. Don't take a damn thing for yourself, right?
Right.
But only get this. Only get the silver, the gold, and the vessels of brass and iron, right? So that's the materials. That's the money. Only take that and bring that into the temple of the Lord. That's it. Just the money. That's it. Khan?
Done.
So the Lord already had that set up and planned. Now, there's an issue here. Let's get Joshua chapter 7 and verse 1. So the Lord already set up rules. He told Israel, show Rahab mercy, right? Save her, but everybody else got to die, right? And then he also said, don't touch nothing of any of these people of this nation. Don't take nothing for yourself, right? And then he also said, the silver, the gold, the brass, and the iron, gather all of that and then bring that to the temple of the Lord as a treasury, as more money coming in for the nation. That's it. So there's an issue here. Joshua chapter 7 and verse 1. But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, and of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel. Right? So now there's a problem here. Achan stole and went against the rules of the Lord. Right? So because Achan stole, guess what happened? And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai which is beside Bethaven, on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, Go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed the country. Right? And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, Let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So there went up thither of about people 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. Right? So Joshua sent 3,000 men to go against the other nation, Ai, as you would call it. And Joshua was confident because he thought they was going to have an easy win, right? An easy kill. But there's a problem here. And the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men. For they chased them from before the gate even unto Shabaram, and smote them in the going down, wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water. So now the people is in fear. The Israelites are in fear because when they went to battle against these other nations, it was a slaughter, right? Because the power of the Most High God was with us. The Lord said in Joshua 23:10, one of you shall chase 1,000, and two of you shall chase 10,000. So imagine how if Israel was fearful because they think they're going to get an easy win, and the other nation killed 36 of their men easily. When one member of Israel could wipe out a whole damn army. So what happened? Fear start to come in. Now there's a problem, right? Because Israelites, 36 men died in battle, right? And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of the Lord until the eventide, he and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. So I'm gonna just cut straight to the point. So basically, Joshua praying for repentance, and he's confused. He don't know what's going on. He trusts in the Lord on the battlefield, and basically the Lord told him the reason why 36 men of Israel have died because somebody among you committed sin.
Right.
Right? So somebody among them committed sin. And guess what they had to do? They had to get to the root cause of the problem. Khan? So verse 10. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Get thee up, wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face? Israel has sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and disassembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. So now what's the problem? Somebody in the company, in the camp, went against the rules of the Lord. Right? And he thought the Lord didn't see them. So what the Lord did as part of judgment, he killed 36 Israelites because of the problem in the issue of one person. Right? Therefore, the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies because they were a curse. Neither will I be with you anymore, except you destroy the accursed from among you. So now the Lord is telling them, listen, I'm not going to help you be profitable. You're not going to get any more blessings. You're not going to increase in nothing, right? You're not going to get more money or anything. You're not going to enjoy your life until you deal with this problem, right? Deal with the problem. Deal with the plague. Deal with the issue, right? So now, basically saying there's a cursed thing. So this is what they did. Like Yashayah is talking about in the lesson. Verse 14, in the morning, therefore, you shall be brought according to your tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which the Lord shall take come according to the families thereof. And the family which the Lord shall take shall come by households, and the household which the Lord shall take shall come man by man. Right? And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire. He and all that he have, because he have transgressed against the covenant of the Lord, and because he have wrought folly in Israel. So now, the Lord is already setting up the judgment. He said, whoever he catches that went against his law, he's going to bring that judgment. God. So now, what they're doing the census, and they doing their cross, they dying their cross, the cross and dots and all of this stuff, and they examining everything. Right? They're questioning everybody. Right? They're trying to get to the root cause of the matter. They're trying to get to the problem, to the root of the problem. So they had to search and find who was the person that brought sin upon Israel and judgment from the Lord. And he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of the Zarhites, and he brought the family of Zarhites, man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, and of the tribe of Judah, was taken. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give I pray thee glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done, hide it not from thee. So they found out it was Achan, and Achan had to do what? Confess his sins. He messed up, right? And since he messed up and he knew the judgment, guess what the Lord did? The Lord gathered everything he took, right? Because he was the problem. So the Lord had to deal with the problem by using Joshua. Joshua had to seek and find who was the issue, who was the problem, how to deal with it, how to get to the root cause. Verse 21, this was the issue. When I saw, this was Achan said, he confessed, when I saw among the spoils of goodly Babylonian garment, right? So he took a Babylonian garment, clothing of the heathens. The Lord said, don't do that. So he was what? He was covetous. And 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight. Then I coveted them and took them. So he wanted the clothes, he wanted the money, he was covetous. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and silver under it. So he took these things that the Lord said not to take, the accursed things, and he hid them in his damn tent. Right? And he thought the Lord didn't see him, because he's more scared of man than Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So now they had to find the garment, they had to find the money, and they had to find everything Achan had. Because guess what? Whatever Achan touched after he touched that, now he's cursed. So whatever he touched, it becomes cursed as well too. Is defiled now. Verse 24. And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah, and the silver and the garment, the wedge of gold, and his sons and his daughters, and his oxen and his asses, and his sheep and his tent, and all that he had. And they brought him unto the valley of Kar. And Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? And the Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned them with stones and burned them with fire. After they had stoned them with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So the Lord turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor unto this day. So that was a quick story about Achan to time with Yashayah and his lesson, the problem solver, right? Getting to the root of the cause of the issue, conflict resolution. Achan did not keep the commandments of the Lord, went against the rules of the Lord, stolen clothing, money, because he was covetous, right? He didn't want to follow the rules. He wanted to do it by himself. So the Lord brought that judgment on him and on Israel because of his sin. And when he finally confessed his sins, the Lord had to gather everything he had, even his family, and had to do what? It had to get rid of them, right? He had to cut that disease off. Because if he didn't, like the scripture said, 1 Corinthians, a little leaven is going to leaven up the whole lump. So when you're dealing with conflict resolutions and problems, sometimes if you don't get rid of the problem or the person that's causing the problem, it's going to destroy everyone within the camp. How you?
God. Oh, praise us. Yeah, see, that's how you really understand what's going on, man, because that's why conflict resolution, problem solving, along with conflict resolution, is two of the biggest things that we struggle with in Israel. People don't really know how to solve problems, man. I'm gonna be honest. People just let problems be, and then the shit just get, excuse my French, the shit just gets worse and worse. Because people don't have no idea how to solve problems. Man. They just think they could just do, what they did in the world, and that don't work. It does not work. It's not productive, right? People like in the Bible, people got put to death for that, but not for not figuring out the issue and just going ahead and doing whatever the hell they feel is the best thing to do. A lot of people got put to death for that, and not just in the Bible, in the real world today. You look around, people getting put to death for these bad decisions, man. So we don't want you to be that person. You don't want to be the next victim of the Lord's wrath because you struggle to figure out your problems. You struggle trying to figure out the root cause and do a simple 5 whys, like I asked y'all to screenshot. You struggle to figure out what the root cause of the problem is and make your attempts to eliminate it, and then therefore control what you can control. A lot of us fail at that, and that is the reason why a lot of people are gonna fall in that 66% and not the 33% of the 33.33333333 to infinity%. That's why a lot of people not gonna fall into that, because a lot of people are very careless with how they do or serve the Lord. And the Lord don't want a careless servant. He don't want a person that's not trying to figure out how to be better, or who is just oblivious to how to actually go about it. Like how do you get to the root cause? Like the Lord don't really want people who are going. He don't want people in the kingdom that, you know, like he can't trust you. So you have to learn how to do these things and eliminate your issues and get better as a person, get better as a servant for the Lord. All right. So what I'm gonna go into now is conflict resolution, but I'm gonna start with, if you're a leader, how you understand people and how to motivate them, right? How you understand your people around you, and how you make your team better. How do you make your congregation better? How do you make the sisters around you better? How do you make the brothers and everybody work as a cohesive unit? How? All right. So
Hey,
we got
Shalaki
to
King.
go ahead, Art.
I'm not gonna take long because I see the time is kind of anyway. But there's another reason why we don't solve conflicts very well in Israel, and even looking at the way things are done in the scriptures, a lot of reasons why we were able to solve the conflicts that we had is because we inquired of the Most High. And today is not something we do a lot of. We try to do things our way, and then when it really crashes and burns to ashes, then we say, God, why? We don't inquire of the Lord. So in a situation with Joshua in chapter 9, right? Is a situation what can happen when you don't inquire of the Lord, where these people, just in a nutshell, these people came and it's like, hey, they saw how Israel was destroying all of these other places. And they decided to go and trick Israel. And long story short, Israel didn't inquire of the Lord and made a covenant with these people. And when they were supposed to get destroyed, literally, right? And this is how they tricked Israel. Let's go to Joshua chapter 9, verse 12, really quick. I'll read it. Joshua chapter 9, I'm going to start from verse 12. This, our bread, we took hot for our provision out of our houses on the day we came forth to go unto you. But now, behold, it is dry and it is moldy. So these people lived right there, literally in the same place. But they said, okay, this is what we do. Give us old bread, give us old wine, give us everything old. So when we get to Israel, we're going to say we traveled so far that now the bread that we brought with us is all old, right? And Israel just kind of listened to that and didn't go through the processes of figuring out whether these people are for us or against us. And instead of inquiring, they made a covenant with them because they got tricked. And now when they actually found out that these people were not who they said they were and wanted to kill them, Joshua was like, hey, no, you can't kill them because now you made a covenant with them. So, yeah, that in a nutshell. I'm not going to take too long because I know the time is running out. I yield.
God, the water for that, yeah, that makes sense, man. Because the scriptures tell us that there's no new thing under the sun. So we want to, if we had this problem before, that's why we read our Bibles. Because if we had this problem before as a nation, what we don't want to go through it again, right? So how do we prevent ourselves from going through another captivity? Or how do we prevent ourselves from the Lord judging us harshly for going off? It's looking at what happened to other people in these scriptures. Looking at what the law says to do and not do, right? The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9 reads, and I'm about to read it right now. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. So these same problems are going to come back. These same issues are going to resurface. And if you didn't learn from the lessons of previous brothers and groups of our ancestors who made these mistakes, if you didn't learn from their mistakes and learn not to do what they did and eliminate the root cause of what they did and make sure you don't do it, then you're gonna fall back in the same trap, because the thing that was done, it shall be done again. Right? These are the same spirits that are inhabiting different vessels. The same spirits from back then are here now. They're just inhabiting different vessels, different people. Right? So let's get into understanding team member profile, how you understand your team, and when it's time to do conflict resolution, how you actually do that, right? This is how you understand your brothers and sisters around you and how you can utilize your team better. But if anybody in the audience, if anybody listening has any questions, comments, or precepts they want to bring out, now will be the time. Before I jump into this, because this is gonna be a quick, probably 15 minutes, but it's gonna be, it's gonna be on point. All right, take that as a note. So, understanding team member profiles. What is a team member profile? How individuals translate information, right? So some people might not be great communicators. How do they translate information? Do they do that well or not? Do they, when they get mad, do they just get quiet and they just don't talk to nobody? Right? How individuals accomplish key tasks. Do people do a lot of people do they do what they supposed to do when asked to do it, or do they tarry? Do they take a long time to, if the elder says, hey, everybody get your donations in, before Passover, do people wait till they get there and give it to them? Like, is that one of their characteristics? Is that part of their profile? You got to look at a person to see, are they the type of person that's always the last person to do something, or are they on point? How individuals interact with others. How do people get along with the family? Do they, they literally, like, they typically just don't like people, brothers and sisters. They just don't like to talk, or like it. How are they? Um, how do individuals influence others? Are some brothers and sisters, even though they just joined the camp, do they move in an influential way? When they speak, do people get influenced and start moving? You have to notice these things about your team, different individuals, how individuals react to change. Some people don't like change. Some people, when you change something, and I ain't talking about no doctrine, But I'm talking about because that we don't need to be changing doctrine. But I'm talking about when things change, rules change. Some people don't like that. They can't deal with change very well. And the only thing that's constant in this world is change. So if they don't deal with change very well, then you automatically know if you expanding a camp to a new city, or this will be the person that don't really want to deal with that. They just cool. They don't want to go nowhere. They just want to be right where they are. Maybe they can't, or maybe they just don't want to. It's understanding the people on your team, right? So let's go to common individual behaviors. Let's categorize people. What is a driver? Right? The driver is a person that often takes control of situations, constantly pushing for results. Sometimes individual goals dominate situations, and that's a person that's a driver, right? A tactician is skilled at planning, linear in thought, enjoys the role of gatekeeper, often completes deliverables ahead of schedule. So that's a person that's a tactician. If you got some people that's in your city, in your camp, remember these things about them, because you could easily understand who they are by remembering these things. An analyzer is a person that requires information and data to make decisions. I'm kind of like that. I need to know a bunch of stuff before I make a decision. I just can't make a decision on anything. I gotta be informed, right? Focuses on details. Analyzer focuses on details. Often overanalyzing things. Yeah, sometimes I do overthink things. But that's just how I always been. An optimist. An optimist is often positive about things. One who usually expects a favorable outcome. You have those types of people. Those are good people to have too. Optimists. Creative people. Creative people seeks alternative ideas. Does not pay much attention to detail. Characterized by originality and expressiveness. Yeah, people that are very creative, they don't really pay attention to detail all that much. You got to understand that about them. And they are categorized by, most of the time, they are very expressive. Like they express themselves well. Like you know, um, and they seek alternative ways to express themselves. A procrastinator. All right, some of y'all gonna fit this category though. Don't run. Often waits until the last minute to complete deliverables and tasks. Hesitates in driving and hesitates in diving in due to fear or failure. So there a procrastinator mostly is procrastinating because they fear failing. Works well under pressure. A procrastinator might be all these things. They late all the time. They don't do stuff on time. But when they under pressure, that's like they on point though. And nobody knows how they do it. But that's one of the characteristics. A cautious person. They're risk adverse. They're averse to risk. So they don't like taking risks. Calls for caution and often critical. So like it. Calls for caution and is often critical. A cautious person always thinks the glass is half empty, not half full, right? Tentative or restrained, right? So they usually either very calm all the time or they just tentative, kind of uptight. It's a cautious person. An avoider stays clear of confrontation, avoids difficult or challenging discussions. Some people let problems linger and go on for a long time because they don't know how to have these challenging discussions. They just avoid the discussions. They avoid any conflict. They stay clear, and that's a person that's an avoider. So you have to look at these characteristics and know what position to put people in to win. You don't put an avoider as a leader, right? Because guess what? When it's time to have difficult conversations with people, they're going to avoid it and shy away from it, right? So this is common individual behaviors and understanding your team. Now, let's see. Let's go to conflict resolution. That's what we missing in Israel. I'm gonna be honest. That's what we really missing. So, team conflict. Conflict is a normal part of team development, but here are some guidelines. Tolerate conflict when it, and this is speaking to a leader. This is just not speaking to anybody. This is teaching somebody who wants to be a leader, right? Tolerate conflict when it enables ideas to be tested and built upon and is proving to be constructive. So if people are having conflict, but they're building and it's constructive, then you tolerate it as a leader. Allows team members to gain a deeper understanding of one another. Sometimes when conflict allows people to understand one another, like they telling their story, it's okay. Increases creative thought. When the conflict is something that you noticing that is constantly evolving into subjects that are more and more creative, and actually being productive because you're getting ideas from it, then that conflict is okay. When it increases involvement, when two people are having conflict about something, and then now other people are starting to get involved and put their opinion in there, and now it's a brainstorming process, and now everybody is collaborating. This is good. This is a good thing, right? Intervene to resolve conflict when it does these things. So when team members become more concerned about winning the conflict than communicating their point of view, then you want to resolve that conflict because they just only gonna butt heads and it's not gonna be a good look for the team, right? When the conflict polarizes the team, when it's something that wild happens and kind of scares people, yeah, that's when you want to resolve that conflict. When the conflict involves a personal insult or values of the organization, that's definitely a conflict. When you do something that's against HOI's rules or regulations, yes, we have to resolve that conflict. It's an issue there. Either you're not respecting the organization, or what you feel or your situation is more important to you than what I'm saying, than the body of Israel, period. Right? So whenever conflict happens, these are the reasons that you want to resolve them, right? And the first set of things up top was the reasons that you would just let it go. Now, team conflict management and resolution. When you are the mediator, when you are the leader or the person that's trying to resolve conflict, this is what you want to do. Listen carefully to each person or group's point of view. So when we in council, you listen carefully to each person's point of view. Clarify the core issue by separating areas of agreement from areas of disagreement. So figure out where the people that are having the conflict, where do they agree and where do they disagree? Then try to build small agreements to reach a compromise. So focus on the things that they agree on and try to see how much they have in common. And let them see later that they have more in common than not, and they should not be fighting like this. To calm the agitation, have disagreeing team members write down their issues and ideas before discussing with the group. So brainstorm your issues. Don't just come to a council or a situation and just be randomly firing off shots. Like, nah, be accurate, because we trying to resolve the conflict And if you just firing off stuff from left and right from 10 years ago and all that, like, we can't pinpoint what the problem is right now. What is the problem today, right? Consider taking members who conflict outside of the meeting to mediate the disagreement and come to a compromise, right? So consider taking other members who have had conflict outside of this meeting to mediate this disagreement and come to a compromise, right? So outside people who are not involved in the conflict, they can be a part of this mediation. Talk through issues until a higher level solution is found and is supported by all team members. So we got to have 10 damn councils and we all come to a compromise, then that's just what's going to happen, right? We're going to keep talking about it until a higher level solution comes out, or we all support the same solution, right? Openly discuss personal differences of opinion, dealing with them directly but tactfully, right? So as a mediator, openly discuss personal differences of opinion, let them discuss that, but deal with them directly and be tactful about how you deal with these differences of opinion that these two people have that are obviously having a conflict, right? Let them express that openly, but don't avoid dealing with it, because if it's wrong, if they say something like, well, I just don't like that person because I just don't like them and whatever. That's not an answer. You know what I'm saying? What did this person do to you? Right? Let's see what happened. What was the conflict? Can that be avoided? That's what you want to do. Now, let's get down to some ways that don't work, right? When you solving a problem, and some ways that do work. And this is methods to deal with conflict within the team. Because now that you know the conflict and it's time to make a decision and deal with it, what do you do? Right? And these are, let's see, four of these six things do not work. But I'm telling you right now, I see these type of decisions being made all the time. And this is why the problem don't never go away. Because you can't make one person happy and the other person and just basically take a huge SHIT on another person without like having a common ground. Like, each person's supposed to have a good resolution. Okay, the methods, non-intervention. The description of non-intervention is you avoid or withdraw from addressing the situation. The effect from avoiding or not addressing the situation, basically not wanting to have a counsel or taking too long to have a counsel or taking care of a situation that's going on, guess what? That does not solve the problem. Avoiding the problem don't solve the problem. You got to deal with it, so you might as well deal with it right now, face head on. If you know how to deal with it according to these different techniques and the Bible or keeping the law, then you'll be okay, right? The other method, smoothing. Smoothing de-emphasizes conflict. It attempts to smooth over the conflict, but the effect is the short-term solution. It still can resurface later, because you can smooth it over, but what you're actually doing is dumbing down the severity of the conflict that these two people are having. They might think it's a huge deal, big deal, but you might not think it's such a big deal. But you can't smooth it over, because that's only going to let it resurface later. You want to eliminate the conflict. You don't want to, this is what we've been talking about this whole time. You want to eliminate problems. We have to eliminate problems in this truth. We can't give solutions that don't eliminate problems. We can't do that. Compromising. Giving up some things in exchange for getting other things. All right. So this can cause the effect of this can provide resolution, but it can cause resentment, right? So when you have one person say that they're gonna stop, they won't cuss this other person out no more, but the other person didn't apologize and say they won't do it. It's like you giving up some things. One person is agreeing to give up some things and the other person is not. Guess what? It's still gonna be some resentment there because you made, as a leader, you made one person stop doing something, but you didn't make the other person stop doing something. So that's compromising, and you don't want to necessarily compromise. You want to collaborate and confront. Problem solving, which is the last two. All right, now the fourth one, forcing only one viewpoint. If you just force your viewpoint on everybody as like a dictator, right? Not saying that anybody has ever done that. I'm just, especially about anything that I'm saying right now. But if you just force only one viewpoint, or you just only resolve the conflict to make one person happy and not the other people, right? This is a very high probability that this conflict is going to happen. It's going to keep happening, right? It's going to emerge, and it's going to increase the resentment. They're going to fight even more. They're going to hate each other even more because you are not really being a problem solver, like the title of the lesson. If you're a leader, you have to be a problem solver. You know, if you even aspire to be a leader, you have to be a person that knows how to drill down the root cause and eliminate the root cause. Because if not, you're just going to cause more problems. You're going to cause more resentment, and the problem will resurface. Collaborating improves multiple viewpoints to gain commitment from all. This brings long-term resolution. If you collaborate, if we have a council right now and we let everybody give their solutions, and we incorporate multiple parts of those solutions, maybe not everybody's solution is going to work, but Salakia, if we incorporate multiple people's solution, guess what? That will resolve the conflict for a long time, but it won't eliminate it. It will resolve it for a long time, though. So that's a good way. That's actually a good way to resolve conflict, collaborating. But the other four above are not. Now, when we get to this one, this is how you really get to the ultimate. This is how you really eliminate the problem and you really make everybody happy in the situation. Confronting and real problem solving. This is where you examine alternatives to find resolution that meets everyone's goals. So both people having a conflict, you know, if you get resolutions to help both people, like say for instance, one person, you know, they're mad because of something that a person said. And then the other person is mad because something that they put on a post, right? So if you get both of them to apologize for what they did and say, hey, look, no, it won't happen again. Since I know that this is something that agitates you, or this is your pet peeve, or this is something that really drives you over the edge, then I won't do it again, right? That, if you get both people to agree to not do what it is that they did to cause the conflict, that will be a resolution that meets everybody's goals, right? People, they want to, you know, they want to stop being slandered, or they might want to stop every time they come into a clubhouse room, they got to deal with some silly stuff. They get put that, like whatever it may be. You get them to or everybody that has a problem, you get them to agree to their faults and agree to not, hey, yo, you know, not do that transgression again. Not do that to your brother or sister, right? This provides ultimate resolution. So when you're resolving the problem, you don't want to force the, you don't want to have, you can't have bias or what's the word I'm looking for? You can't have favoritism as a person that's in leader. That's why I said some of the things that I said even on one of the last councils we had, because I started to sense favoritism, and you cannot be a decision maker in that situation. You are compromised if you have favoritism for anybody in a council. You can't do that. Cannot do that, because you will end up trying to force only one person's solution. And that's not how you solve problems. And in Israel, we have a problem with solving problems. We got a serious issue with that. We want to solve it however we want to do it. And a lot of times it be bias involved in that. You cannot, people will not deal with you. People will leave and won't be a part of your team if you have biased solutions, if you compromise, if you smoothing things over just to get a short-term solution. If you are avoiding the situation, that doesn't solve the problem. So we want to confront and collaborate. We want to confront the problem with good tools and techniques like we've learned here today. We want to confront the problem. We want to define it, measure it, analyze it. With this is how we
Hey, Shalaki King.
and that's the
Shalaki. Yashayah, could you hear me? Yashayah. It looked like brother got cut off. No, he's still there. Yashayah, your audio is really bad.
Oh, nobody told me that. Damn.
Yeah, I was trying to communicate with you, but you weren't hearing me.
So I just did that whole 30 minutes.
No, not the whole 30 minutes, but yeah.
Nah, I know what happened. Yeah, damn. Speaker had cut off. But what did you hear? What didn't you hear? Damn.
I mean, I heard you talk about what's the last thing you said? You went into stuff about the clubhouse, and now that you asked me directly, it's like I just stalled.
It's too much.
Hey, Slocky.
God.
Go ahead.
So conflict resolution, the different steps on how to deal with them. One, if you try to avoid them, it is going to cause more of a problem. Another step as well, because I got everything screenshotted. First one, method, non-intervention. Second one is smoothing, then compromising, forcing like a dictator, collaborating. We all come together. We all have an agreement, and confronting and problem solving. Let's all come to one goal, resolution. So mighty lesson, King.
Yeah, man. I did not know that the Salakia. I didn't know that the audio quality had dipped.
Yeah, it was just the last 10 seconds. That's what it was. We heard everything else. The last 30 minutes.
All praises to the Most High. Hashem, Yashayah. I hope everybody was edified. That's my heart's desire, that people learn and took something from this that they can use to better themselves, and better the people around them. Yeah, that's my heart's prayer and my heart's desire.
Okay. Powerful lesson, man. Especially with them charts. I got a lot of screenshots.
Yeah, I damn near went through all 1,000 of the pages, constantly scrolling. Yeah, So yeah, man. Don't look like we got a lot of people on here. They probably couldn't hang in there. It was kind of long, but I'm gonna pray out. Give everybody about 60 seconds to turn to the east. I'm gonna pray out, and we can chop it up a little later, but I'm gonna go ahead and pray out for us.
Yeah, there's still about 8 people watching on YouTube as well.
Yeah, they'll catch it later. Most people will catch it later. All right, y'all ready?
All right.
All right, slow as prayer in ancient Paleo Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'a, Ratazah, Haya, Aisha, Baratazah, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Natalanawa, Lakam, Kayawan, Wasalak Nawa, Kabiwati Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabwati Nawa, Wala'a, Tabia Nawa, Bonasaya 1, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wahala, Watabaraf, Lawayam, Lawalamyam, Salakia, Man,
Man.
our Father who art in heaven, Yahweh be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Man,
Man.
come.
Beautiful lesson.
Man.
Done.
Yeah, man. Just trying to give our people something different that they haven't really got a chance to sink their teeth into. You know? Praises. Well, with that, that concludes our regularly scheduled program, folks. I know it's late. Y'all ain't got to go home, but got to get the out of here. It's damn. What time is it? Oh yeah, it is 1:30 out there, right?